You couldn't ask for a better night. The temperature is 27 degrees. There is not much wind. There's a big weekend crowd to wrap up week number 3 of the CFL season. The Saskatchewan Roughriders 1-1 so far, taking on the unbeaten Grey Cup champions 2-0. Reggie Slack, the Saskatchewan starting quarterback, looking there for Don Narcisse. The pass falls incomplete. This is Saskatchewan's first possession of the football game in Reggie Slack's first start for the Green Riders. And Don Narcisse caught a pass moments ago, and that extended his CFL record to 165 consecutive games with a 1 pass reception. Don Matthews, the coach of the Toronto Argonauts, coached here from 1991 to 93. He's the only Saskatchewan coach in the last 20 years to leave here with a winning record. He was 24-22. There's Jim Daly on the left, the head coach of the Riders. To his left, and you're right, is Cal Murphy, the former coach of the Bombers. Paul McCallum with a good kick. Mike Pinball Clemens from his 37-yard line. Trying to get outside. Here he goes, the pinball. Out across midfield into Saskatchewan territory at the 51-yard line. A 43-yard punt, the pinball, with a 17-yard return. The Toronto offense takes the field, led by Doug Flutie, who has completed 74% of his passes in 2 games. He has 200 more yards passing and twice as many touchdowns as anyone else in the league through 2 weeks. He's joined by Clemens and Drummond in the backfield. Mazzotti and Dimitrichin are returnees. Feldman, Malvo, and Daryl Mitchell are new, and the offensive line anchored by Mike Kiselak, the CFL's outstanding offensive lineman 1 year ago. First down, Flutie from the shotgun. Quickly up and throwing, almost intercepted. Almost picked off by Terrell Omer. That would have been 6, Glenn.
Absolutely, Gordon. Terrell Omer was just sitting in the zone reading quarterback Doug Flutie. When he lets go of the ball, Terrell Omer takes off and breaks on it. You see number 2 to the right of your screen right there. Now he sees the throw, breaks on it, and that throw was too far outside for Mazzotti. And Terrell Omer just had to come up with the catch. They simplified things here in Saskatchewan defensively from last week.
2nd and 10. Here comes the rush. Flutie over the middle, almost intercepted again. K.D. Williams almost had that one. Doug Flutie's lucky to leave the field without having a pass picked off, as K.D. Williams almost stepped in front of that one. And a standing ovation from the crowd here at Taylor Field.
Well, this defense is fired up, and they have a challenge on their hands today. K.D. Williams is going to run with Mazzotti and be underneath, and Dale Joseph is providing the help over top. They both break on the football, run into each other, and this is another interception for Saskatchewan.
38. Mike Vanderjagt is back to punt for Toronto. End-over-end kick. Rod Harris has it sail over his head into the end zone. And Harris will happily concede a single point. The Saskatchewan defense comes up big. No score at Taylor Field, just underway on the CFL Live. Here at Taylor Field, Toronto and Saskatchewan, and last year the Argos swept the season series, but these 2 teams have split their last 10. And Don Matthews has a remarkable streak going at Taylor Field. Going back to his days as the coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Don Matthews has won 7 consecutive games at Taylor Field, including the 1995 Grey Cup. He hasn't lost here since he was the coach of the Green Riders in '93. That was 2 jobs ago. Riders 1st and 10 from their 35. Slack gives it off to Robert Mims. And look out, Robert Mims ran into a house named Oscar Giles. And this Toronto defense, which has put up some pretty good numbers in the first couple of weeks, stuffs Mims for a loss of 2. 29-year-old Reggie Slack leads this Saskatchewan offense, making his first start for the Green Riders. He came on in relief last week in the loss to the Edmonton Eskimos. And joining him, Curtis Mayfield, Dan Farthing, Don Narcisse, Rod Harris, a veteran receiving crew with Sean Daniels, and Robert Mims, the CFL's leading rusher a year ago. Up front, the offensive line has a number of changes. Carl Coulter comes over for BC at center. Second down. Slack under pressure. Gets it away to Narcisse. But Reggie Gibbons is all over Don Narcisse. And Saskatchewan will come up 4 yards short of a first down as Reggie Gibbons comes up with a big stop.
Saskatchewan talked during the week about getting their wide receivers involved in the offense, Don Narcisse and Curtis Mayfield. And one way to do that is bring them in from the outside and cross them all the way across the field. Reggie Slack picks him up late and does just in time because he had the heat on him. Oscar Giles making a couple of big plays. Had some help there from Rod Waldrop.
Paul McCallum is back to punt. Mike Pinball Clemens back to receive. He took the first one back 17 yards. High snap. McCallum gets a low kick, and it's short, bouncing up around midfield. Pinball picks it up on the fly. And water skiing in behind him is Chris Zarka, number 32. Flags everywhere on the play as Pinball got knocked down hard, but Zarka was just water skiing behind the pinball.
And you know what happens, Gord? Sometimes in this situation, when that ball is bouncing around, everyone in Saskatchewan is trying to jump out of the 5-yard restraining area, and when that happens, gives Pinball a chance to catch a seam, and he almost broke that one. He got hit in the back late, and that's why he's hurt.
Just a 21-yard punt by Paul McCallum. So Pinball's a little shaken.
No yards. Saskatchewan 32. Decline. Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 31. First down.
Unnecessary roughness called against Ryan Carey, number 31. 15-yard penalty. The Argos will have tremendous field position.
And you see right there, Gord, how all the Saskatchewan covermen are trying to get out of the way of the football, and that's how Pinball catches it in that seam and then a little piling on afterward.
Toronto starts 5 yards behind where the Saskatchewan line of scrimmage was. First down for the 34. Flutie has time over the middle, and his man dropped it. Paul Mazzotti unable to hang on, and Flutie has yet to complete a pass. Well, there's Randy Svirchinski, and look out, he gets steamrolled there by Noah Cantor.
Well, Randy Skorczynski is the rookie center, and he's going to do all the long snaps, and you know that's his initiation. He'll get hit in the back of the neck on every single snap tonight.
Second down, Flutie. Under pressure. K.D. Williams has it. And what a hit by K.D. Williams. A loss of 9 yards, and the Saskatchewan defense is huge here in the first quarter.
Well, they're fired up to play the team that is in their marketing department, at least, talking about a perfect season. And K.D. Williams will be asked to what's called secondary contain on Flutie. That means if the end, who in this case was Troy Alexander, gets beat to the outside, K.D. Williams will have to fight. You see Alexander getting pulled down inside there. Now it'll be Williams' responsibility to come up, and that is a big hit because Doug Flutie's not easy to hit in the open field.
Now a field goal try of 50 yards by Mike Vanderjagt. The wind is behind him. His career longest is 53. Vanderjagt drives it low and misses it to the right. Another single point for Toronto, but the Argo offense sputters on its first 2 possessions, and that's key for Saskatchewan because the Argos love to go to work early.
Yeah, and if you're looking at people ask all the time, how do you stop Doug Flutie? Well, one way is to have Reggie Slack have a great game and keep him on the sideline. The other way is to have an all-star type defense over there, and really Saskatchewan has put one together. Jim Daly leading the way in the offseason with a lot of free agent signings.
Saskatchewan's defense has allowed only 1 rushing touchdown through the first 2 weeks of the season. Now the offense goes to work. This has been a problem. Saskatchewan have the 2nd fewest completions through the first 2 weeks. On first down, play action. Slack's in trouble. And he's on the run. Slack pushed out of bounds by Mike O'Shea right at the first down marker. Michael O'Shea giving chase. The problem for Reggie Slack, there were no receivers to the side of the field. He was running.
Well, I don't think he had much choice, though, Gord. It was a lot of pressure coming from the top of your screen. Right there. I believe it was Reggie Gibbons, so Reggie Slack had to take off to the outside, and he knew he didn't have a receiver downfield. That's why he didn't look there. He just took off and tried to get what he could.
Slack takes off for a gain of 11, his first carry of the year as a Saskatchewan quarterback, and he is pretty mobile despite a history of knee problems. Back to the ground. Robert Mims tries the right side. Here comes Mims. A first down and then some. Inside the 40 down to the 39-yard line. A pickup of 18 yards.
Pretty good block by Scott Hendrickson at the point of attack. Gord, as he comes around the corner. A little bit of counteract. You see Scott Hendrickson pulling number 63. He cuts the legs out of Reggie Gibbons, and that allows Robert Mims to head up in the seam.
Tell you what, Marcelo Simmons might have saved the touchdown there. Robert Mims averaging 6 yards a carry last week. He rushed for 128 yards on 9 carries against Edmonton. Slack, play action. Swings it out there, incomplete for Dan Farthing. That'll bring up second down. Well, this Toronto defense has done a pretty good job through the first 2 weeks of the season, allowing only 4 touchdowns. The Argos have allowed the fewest points per game, the fewest yards, and the fewest first downs. Up front, Reggie Gibbons, Mike O'Shea, and Ken Benson, the linebackers, with Rob Waldrop and Andrew Stewart anchoring the middle of that defensive line. And this defensive backfield for the Toronto Argonauts had 3 interceptions against Hamilton last week. Second down. Slack under pressure to the sideline for Narcisse. No catch. Oh. They rule no catch on Narcisse right at the first down marker. And we'll see the Saskatchewan field goal unit.
That looked awful close. Don Matthews talked defensively about putting in a zero blitz. A zero blitz means this guy and this guy, linebacker Reggie Gibbons and Michael O'Shea, are going to blitz. Man-to-man coverage when you get that, and Marcelo Simmons gave a big cushion to Don Narcisse, but you could see how one hopped, and a good call by the official.
Did it one hop off his hands, though?
You get 50 points for that. One hop. Isn't that one bounce, that baseball game?
I think that's right. Yeah. I didn't know you played baseball. Paul McCallum from the 45-yard line. This to give Saskatchewan the lead. The wind really backing that up. He pushes it to the right. Here comes the pinball, bringing it out. Beat the first man. Now reverses his tracks. Here comes the pinball. He's got the kicker to beat. And McCallum held him up just long enough for help to come from behind. Sean Daniels makes the stop. A 50-yard missed field goal return for the pinball. The Argos with a 2-0 lead. Well, he led the league in receiving a year ago, but Mike Pinball Clemens can still do it, returning any kind of kick.
Oh, it's scary on a long missed field goal. Paul McCallum kicks it short and a bit wide to the right, and then now he has to try and make a tackle. Watch how he's going to come into your screen right there. And whoa! He doesn't want to have to do that very often tonight.
First down for the Argos. Flutie is 0 for 3 passing so far. From the shotgun for Mazzotti. And the first completion for Flutie sees Mazzotti slide his way close to midfield. A pickup of 9 yards. And Paul McCallum misses that field goal try. It looked like the wind kind of knocked it down a bit. And will it go? Will it go? Will it go? Now I got to make the tackle. Oh.
Look at the dance step there. Not bad.
I'll tell you what, he did the shuffle at the end. You see, the guy with the ball is supposed to slide.
That is a scary feeling. When I was holding, a lot of times it would either be Gizmo Williams or pinball in the open field. It's you, the field, and about 55 yards of pinball.
Flutie under center on second and short, gives it off to the pinball. Flags come down, and pinball is across midfield down to the Saskatchewan 52-yard line. We'll see what the penalty's about. A pickup of 4 yards from Mike Clemens, who doesn't run the ball as much as he used to. Just 5 carries in his last 2 games.
Toronto number 58. Second down repeated.
Holding the call against Chris Giaskis, and the run by pinball will be negated. Giaskis graded out as Toronto's best offensive lineman last week.
Chris Giaskis right there, his right tackle. He comes down hard. It was hard to see whether or not he was offside. Very close. He's going to be working on the new guy, Troy Alexander, at that defensive end spot, replacing Will Johnson.
Second and 11. Flutie from the shotgun. All kinds of room for Flutie. Now throws it up there, and he was in between Daryl Mitchell and Robert Drummond. The pass falls incomplete, and Toronto will again be forced to punt.
Gord, this is how tough it is. Right in here is Bobby Jerson, all-star defensive end. Now he's in charge of trying to keep Doug Flutie in the pocket on this play, working on Giassi. He gets upfield. Now watch how simple that is. You see that lane right there open up. Bobby Jerson is in no man's land. He gets upfield, and Doug Flutie steps underneath. If he stays too short, Flutie bounces to the outside.
Vanderjagt to punt. Tumbling end-over-end kick to Ron Harris at the 18-yard line. Harris trying to get outside. Turns it back in and gets smoked for his trouble. Tossing down to make the stop, Norm Casola. A 47-yard punt, a return of 4 yards. Toronto leads it 2-0 in the first. Big crowd at Taylor Field looking on as the Saskatchewan Roughriders start. 1st and 10 for their 23. Reggie Slack hit as he throws. The ball hangs up in behind the intended target, Curtis Mayfield. Not much he could do there as Rob Waldrop was all over Reggie Slack.
Rob Waldrop was in the backfield before Reggie Slack had a chance to even read the defense. You see him come right through. He didn't even have a chance to load that one up before he pulled the trigger.
Funny thing about the Toronto defense, with all the pressure it gets, only 1 quarterback sack in the first 2 games.
But lots of pressures. They call them pressures, and coaches keep that stat.
2nd down. Slack, lots of time now. Over the middle it goes, and complete, but well short of a first down to Rod Harris, who's brought down shy of the 30-yard line. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders will be forced to punt despite the efforts of Rod Harris. And here's the numbers they've put up this year. Rod Harris actually 2nd in the league in receiving yards with 202. But look at Don Narcisse, just 3 catches through the first 2 games.
Yeah, and Curtis Mayfield. We talked about it earlier in the game, but they want to get Mayfield and Narcisse the ball here in Saskatchewan a little more often. And then, of course, Rod Harris has been their big play guy so far this season.
Paul McCallum back to punt, and once again the pinball back to receive. High snap, almost over his head. McCallum gets a great kick away. Pinball from the 35. Oh, big blocks brings the pinball up as far as the 45-yard line. A 45-yard punt and a return of 10. And I'll tell you what, Saskatchewan's Dan Rashovich got wiped out on that one, but Doug Flutie and the Toronto offense come back. And here's what a quarterback does before the game. See, the rich guys, huh? Cell phones.
Yeah.
You know what the linemen are on? The payphone. Collect.
A couple hours before game time, he's out there making a call. I wonder who he's talking to.
Last night he told me he was working on the game plan. I said, since when do you run plays?
Yeah, I thought it was bottle cap, go this way, you're this rock, you go that way, and I'll just run around.
First down, Flutie from the shotgun. One hops it out there, and he was looking for Feldman Malvo. The pass falls incomplete, and Flutie is off to a rough start. 1 for his first 6.
Which is amazing when you look at him coming into this game at 74% passing. I mean, that was unbelievable to have that kind of completion record. Now, having said that, a lot of those have been underneath dump passes to guys like Pinball Clements, but still, that's still a remarkable percentage.
His career percentage is 60.9%, the best in CFL history. 2nd down. Flutie steps up, that's in behind Paul Mazzotti, incomplete. And the Argonauts will punt once more. Flutie now 1 for 7, and frustration starting to set in for the Toronto offense.
Well, just the way Paul Mazzotti was coming off the field, shaking his head, I think he ran the wrong pattern. Doug Flutie threw to what's called a curl out, and I think Paul Mazzotti ran the curl in.
And this Saskatchewan crowd giving the defense a hand as Mike Vanderjagt comes out. Vanderjagt was the kicker here for 2 games until Coach Don Matthews cut him. Kick is taken by Bryce Bevel. He's buried out of the 24-yard line, a 47-yard punt, and a return of 6. Now the Saskatchewan offense will try to get something going, and this was a real problem last year for the Green Riders. They had the fewest yards passing, the fewest first downs, Saskatchewan quarterbacks last year threw only 11 passing touchdowns. In fact, Saskatchewan did not have a passing touchdown until the 4th game of the season last year.
And you know what, Gord, so far after 2 games, the Rider offense has improved in every one of those categories that you mentioned.
But Flutie won't likely stay cold forever, and it's time for Saskatchewan to get to work. They start at their own 24. Play fake to Mims. Slack out there for Rod Harris, and he is wrapped up quickly. Adrian Smith got there to make the stop. You talk about a debut. Rod Harris caught 1,379 yards worth of passes in his rookie year and 7 touchdowns. But you know what? He hasn't caught a CFL touchdown pass since Dave Archer threw him one in San Antonio 2 years ago. He didn't have a touchdown catch last year either.
Well, it's interesting to hear David Archer talk about Rod Harris. Of course, they were teammates, like you say, Gordon, San Antonio and Sacramento, and he said this guy is a player, and he could pick any receiver to go war with to be him.
2nd down. Slack has time. Now throwing, has a man wide open, Rick Walters. And Walters up close to midfield has a Saskatchewan 1st down on his first catch of the season. 26 yards for a guy who only had 4 catches all of last year.
Well, if you're going to send pressure, and Don Matthews said he wants to do that today, you got to move the pocket around. Now, this is called just a dash movement, or having Reggie Slack back up first and then just dash to the right a little bit. He finds Ricky Walters dragging across the middle.
1st down, Saskatchewan from the Rider 53-yard line. Back to the ground. This is Mims. Oh, what a stick by Mike O'Shea.
Oh, boy.
Robert Mims straightened right up. It's a gain of 5, but Mims really paid for it.
Okay, you want to know how to play middle linebacker and stop the run, you're going to get a great look at it. Number 50, Michael O'Shea, will scrape. That means take on the block right there by Gene Mikowski, work to the outside, and then stand up the running back right in the hole.
Michael O'Shea, the CFL Rookie of the Year in '93 for Hamilton. A big hit there, but Saskatchewan got 5. Now on 2nd down, blitz, Slack to Walters again. Another 1st down, and another big gain down to the 35-yard line. Stop is made by Adrian Smith. But Rick Walters has another big pickup, a gain of 17.
Well, you know, Ricky Walters, one of those guys that the Toronto defense really doesn't take a look at in the films that much because he hasn't played a whole lot, so they're not sure of his moves. And watch Michael O'Shea when he sees that one caught, fly to the football and get the ball. You know, linebackers, they don't care where it's thrown. They just want to hit someone on every single play.
Whether they have the ball or not.
Exactly.
1st down for the 35. Quick throw. Mims with the catch again. Boy, last time I saw number 27 that deep in the defensive backfield, it was you. Pick up a 6.
Well, Michael O'Shea is just flowing to the football on this drive. Unbelievably, we got another great look at him as he's going to slide across and take that hot pattern and hit Robert Mims right in the face. I mean, Mims and Michael O'Shea are going to get to know each other quite well in this football game.
2nd and 4. Back to the ground. This is Mims. And Mims crawls his way close to the 25-yard line, but he'll be short of a 1st down. 1 second to go in the 1st quarter. And the crowd hollering for Jim Daly to gamble on 3rd and a yard.
Wow.
It's a long couple of yards. They've got to get down close to the 24. They're at the 26. And Daly sends the field goal unit up.
Well, you know, I think this is a pretty good call by Jim Daly. I mean, this is a good drive put together by Reggie Slack. I know the fans don't like this one because they'd like to see a touchdown, but they put together a pretty good drive here, and they want to come away with some points and keep that momentum.
Kevin Mason gesturing to the bench. This will be a field goal try of 33 yards, assuming they don't fake it. McCallum puts it up, and it is good. On the final play of the first quarter, the Saskatchewan Roughriders take the lead in a 15 minutes dominated by defense. The second quarter coming up next, but first, CFL Live Control.
CFL Live at the Quarter is brought to you by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
Hi, and welcome to our CFL Live studio. Rod Smith along with Bob Obilovich, Les Brown, Marty York of the Globe and Mail. The story so far, no question, when we bill this as Flutie against the defense of Saskatchewan, the D is winning. And Marty, you've been talking about it before, how Flutie may be a little more injured as indicated so far.
Well, that's right, Rod. I mean, during the course of the week, he had to take a couple of practices off with turf toe. But they tell me that it could be a little bit worse than just turf toe, and that maybe that's what's bothering him tonight. He's off on his throws, and I don't see a picturesque performance from Doug Flutie yet.
Well, you know, I got to kind of agree with Marty. Man, you say what you want about him, but his scoops have some truth to them. And I have to say that Doug usually at this time in the game is taking off running, which he isn't. And I want to say this too: the Saskatchewan better come up and start playing some ball right now while he isn't on.
And another thing noticeable in that game, I think, this game thus far, is that in the first quarter I saw some three-man rush and some of the types of things that Hamilton did do against Toronto. So I think Coach Daly was sitting in the wings a little bit on that one.
Hey, guys, let me ask you, what is turf toe exactly?
Oh, it's a serious injury that when you stub your toe on the turf, you jam it back in, so it actually hinders you from doing a lot of things.
Now, that is his right foot, though, so for planting, that'd be difficult for throwing.
Very sore, and he just can't put any pressure on it, so to cut and to move and to set up to throw the ball, that's definitely going to be a factor if it's bothering him.
A factor, but also giving credit where credit is due with Saskatchewan's defense so far. Thanks to the field goal by McCallum, it's the Roughriders on top by a point as we head back for quarter number 2 at Taylor Field.
Yeah, Ryan, we've obviously got a mistake here. All those zeros on the Toronto said, no, that's accurate. Look at the time of possession. Saskatchewan 10:43 to Toronto's 4:17, 9 yards passing. No net yards for the Argos because they got stuffed on second and long. They lost 12 yards.
And Gord, that is the only way in my mind that you can stop Doug Flutie, and that's to keep him on the sideline.
Now McCallum to kick it off. Mike Clemens shaken up earlier, takes it from the 18-yard line. Clemens finds a seam and fights his way out across the 40 to the 43-yard line before the stop is made by Randy Straczynski. But Mike Clemens has been on fire in this first half with great returns, and now we'll see if Flutie can get something going. And you heard the guys talking about the turf toe injury. I asked Flutie about it before the game. He said hadn't bothered him at all, just took a practice off, but he may have been downplaying it somewhat.
Yeah, well, he said that's one of the reasons he was doing the game plan last night, because he said during the week I had to get so much treatment on my toe, it took me away from my film work. So I had to take care of the toe.
Toss goes to the pinball. Clemens gets his way up to maybe the 45-yard line. Lamar McGriggs makes the stop along with Bobby Jurison. It'll bring up another second and long situation for the Toronto Argonauts.
Doug Flutie's very seldom is he up in behind the center. He loves the shotgun to spread all his receivers out. And usually when he gets up in there, it's going to be a running play for Toronto.
Second and 8. Flutie guns it out there and has his man Daryl Mitchell. Mitchell makes the catch on the Saskatchewan side of midfield out to the 53-yard line. First down for the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, Doug Flutie's probably going to hit this crossing route often because K.D. Williams, number 43 in the middle of your screen, is in charge of spying Flutie and doesn't get any depth in his pass drop. That's why his receiver opened up across the middle.
Gain was 12. To the sideline has Spellman Malvo, and Malvo has the catch out to the 45-yard line. Spellman Malvo is a native of Beaumont, Texas, a small town just outside of Houston. And there's another guy from that area who's pretty well known, Don Narcisse of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the longtime receiver. Malvo met him before the game and said, Well, Mr. Narcisse, I've heard lots about you. Of course, you're much older than I am.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Second and short. Robert Drummond goes up over and gets the first down to the 42-yard line as Drummond gets his hand on the football for the first time.
This is two great football players going head-to-head. Drummond, a tough runner up in the middle. He can also catch the ball pretty well out of the backfield, but on these short yardage situations, it's him against K.D. Williams, and that time it was Drummond. Drummond won nothing, but you know that battle's going to happen all game.
First down, Toronto. Flutie. Lots of time out of the backfield for Drummond. Now Drummond working one-on-one with Joseph and others. Makes the catch and is pushed out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Robert Drummond was the only player in the Canadian Football League last year to finish in the top 10 in receiving yards and in rushing yards. He was 5th in rushing, and he was 9th in receiving.
Probably the best-kept secret for a long time in the Canadian Football League because he played in Baltimore behind Mike Pringle and didn't get the football a lot for a couple of years. But Don Matthews knew how valuable and how good a football player he was, and he's an integral part of this offense now and was last year.
Flutie back to the shotgun on 2nd and 5. Here comes the rush. Flutie drops. Troy Alexander was the first man in there. Bobby Jurison came in to mop up with LeBrant Robinson. And it's a gigantic loss for Toronto and another big defensive play for Saskatchewan. A loss of 17 yards.
Sorry, we talked about the keys, the ends. That's Troy Alexander and Bobby Jurison. They're going to be in charge and contain. A little bit of a blitz package. Lamar McGriggs and K.D. Williams coming, and Troy Alexander keeps contained and pulls down Flutie initially. And that's the key for Saskatchewan defensively.
Vanderjagt's punt is taken by Ron Harris inside the 5. He gets out to about the 12-yard line. A good kick by Mike Vanderjagt. The story here has been D in green. Saskatchewan with a 3-2 lead. Troy Alexander, the 4th player taken in the 1995 CFL draft. Big stack for loss of 17. Now the green offense goes to work. The Riders 1st and 10 at their own 13-yard line. Mims deep in the backfield. Early movement. Free play for Slack. Fires it out there for Curtis Mayfield. Mayfield makes the catch. Marcelo Simmons all over him. A pickup of 7 yards. Looked like Toronto had jumped on Reggie Slack's stutter count.
Tough to see the number here, but I'm pretty sure that's who's offside.
Looked like Noah Cantor.
Yeah, Noah Cantor.
Saskatchewan, I think, will decline the penalty after a pickup of 7, or will it?
Noah Cantor.
What do you like, 1st and 5 or 2nd and 3?
Offside.
First and 5.
Toronto 92.
1st and 5. They said Waldrop, but you know what? We're sticking with Cantor.
And the tape never lies. Because it was definitely Noah Cantor who was offside from the middle. He's going to switch in there a little bit and keep those starting 4 defensive linemen fresh.
Now 1st and 5. Play fake to Mims. Slack, lots of time, over the top for Farthing. And it's intercepted. Picked off by Antonius Bonner. And Toronto has the ball at midfield. 2 number 10s get into a jumping match. And Bonner comes up with the interception, his 2nd of the year.
Dan Farthing's just going to run the straight go route. Antonius Bonner. Here's Farthing. And here's Bonner right here. It's going to be just straight one-on-one matchup. Good jam at the line of scrimmage. Now, Bonner just gets in the hip pocket, but what's amazing about this play is the jump. I mean, he takes a huge vertical, goes up there with one hand and pulls it down. That was an unbelievably athletic play by Antonius Bonner. First interception of the season.
First down, Toronto from midfield. Flutie can't find anyone open. And just fires it to the yard marker, and I'll tell you what, that was close to intentional grounding, and last week the Hamilton Ticats thought they had a case on Flutie for throwing the ball away late in the game.
And what I was amazing about that is that the Saskatchewan Roughriders really only sent 3 guys. Lamar McGrace comes from the outside. You really only see 3. There's Slate, 4th guy in there, but Flutie just doesn't look as comfortable as he has the last two games. That toe may be bothering him a little bit.
Or Saskatchewan's playing real good defense. Screen pass for Drummond. Nothing doing. Bobby Jurison all over that. A pickup of just a yard. You're not going to fool a 12-year veteran like Bobby Jurison.
Well, this is a pretty good game plan right here. Jurison's going to come down, and Henry Newby's going to come out and get the containment. You see, there's Newby coming to the outside. Now he's going to shoot outside. He knows there's another linebacker responsible for Robert Drummond, and what he's trying to get is to get the ball out of Doug Flutie's hands as quickly as he can.
Vanderjagt to punt. Rod Harris from the 15-yard line. Makes his way maybe as far as the 20 before the stop is made by Brendan Rogers. A 40-yard punt and a return of 5 as Saskatchewan gets the ball back. By the way, Rod Harris and the Saskatchewan offense have been getting the job done. At least keeping Flutie off the field. Well, once upon a time, Reggie Slack was the quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts. In fact, that's where he began his CFL career. He was a run-and-shoot guy down in the United States with Mouse Davis. And Mouse liked him so much, he brought him up to Toronto. And wait a minute, who's that guy getting beat deep there? Who is that guy? Who's that number 27 for Saskatchewan?
Hey, I had my zone.
It's a touchdown to Manny Hazard.
Oh, and Mazzani's going to give me that little cheap shot at the end, huh?
Slack had 1,855 yards passing, and here he goes deep again to Eddie Brown.
Oh, no, not again.
Wait a minute.
Not again.
Who's that guy, number 27? Who is that guy? Wait a minute. What happened, Sue?
Not again. Now, wait a minute. Let's keep running this game tape because there's got to be an interception in there somewhere, isn't there? Oh, he had a good game against me.
I saw earlier before the game, Reggie Slack saw you walk onto the field, and he looked at you like the coyote looks at the roadrunner. He said, "Are you coming back?"
Okay, you guys got me. You know I'm going to get all the tapes, and I know there's got to be some highlights in there, some interceptions. I had a few of them.
Yeah, you told me 52, but we looked it up this week. 51. What's going on?
Well, maybe I thought I had one in that Toronto game, but obviously not.
Did your dog eat one or what? Illegal block pushes the Riders back to their 7-yard line. Here comes Mims. Picking his way across the 10. He gets hammered there. Lester Smith. A host of others. Demetrius Maxey coming up to make the stop. A pickup of 5 for Robert Mims.
Robert Mims, this is his favorite play. It's a counter. He gets 2 pulling guards coming out, John Terry and Scott Henderson, the guard and the tackle, and he just picks a hold. Robert Mims not going to break a whole lot for huge yardage, but he's got a great average at 6.7, and he's really hard to tackle when you're the first guy up there.
Pickup was 6. It's 2nd and 4. Under 9 minutes to play in the first half. Here comes Mims again on 2nd down. He gets stacked up quickly as he slides across the 15-yard line out maybe to the 16. The gain is 3 and leaves Saskatchewan a yard short of a first down. Reggie Givens comes up to make the stop, and Saskatchewan once again will be forced to punt.
Well, you know, when they got backed up, when Saskatchewan got backed up to their 7-yard line, that's sort of a series where you want to throw in a couple of running plays. If you pick up some first downs that way, great. If not, minimize the damage, punt it away, and let your defense go on, because right now that Saskatchewan defense is playing pretty good.
And Mike Clemens, the lone man back for Toronto, is having a great day returning kicks. End over end punt. Pinball from midfield. Pinball trapped back at the 52. Nice stop by Saskatchewan's Darren Joseph, a 39-yard punt. A loss of 2. Well, look at Toronto's first 6 possessions. That old Argo dance from the 70s. 1-2 punt, 1-2 punt, 1-2 punt. Doug Flutie's 5 for 12 passing, Glenn, for 35 yards.
But, Gord, you mentioned it earlier, and I think the panel did as well. Don Matthews knows that Doug Doug Flutie will not stay cold forever. Saskatchewan's got to take advantage of this defense playing so well.
Hamilton did a good job against Toronto last week, too. Direct snap, Robert Drummond. And Drummond inside Saskatchewan territory to the 45, a play the Argos first used in the playoffs last year in the Eastern Final, and it works like a charm here.
Well, one way to get some momentum back is to keep it simple. And when you're keen on Doug Flutie like Henry Newby and Lamar McGriggs are, try and stop him. That play is pretty successful for you.
Gain of 13. Drummond right through the middle of that Saskatchewan defense. K.D. Williams brings him down, but not before Drummond fights his way down to the 35-yard line.
Well, we talked about this matchup earlier. K.D. Williams and Robert Drummond. Drummond picked up 1 first down. K.D. flowed to that one, getting on the tackle. K.D. Williams loves to play against the Toronto Argonauts. He has a record against them, 6 tackles for a loss. That was back in 1995. He says, I love playing Toronto.
2nd and 2, Flutie's back under center. Drummond again. And again, it's a first down to the 31-yard line. You mentioned K.D. Williams. Before the game, he was sitting and talking to Doug Flutie. They were having a nice chat. Williams said, I'll see you later. And Flutie said, well, I hope not too soon.
Or often. But it's Drummond and K.D. Williams that have been knocking heads so far. But this is a good idea by John Jenkinson, Doug Flutie, to just put the ball on the ground, get a couple of first downs that way. That takes a little bit of that pressure off the pass rush line.
Direct snap, Drummond again. This time, Saskatchewan reads it quickly. He's brought down at the 30-yard line. A gain of maybe a couple of yards. LeBrant Robinson comes up to make the stop. That direct snap's an interesting play.
And you know what makes it good? We were watching a little game tape last night of the Toronto Argonauts, and you know, they block it the same way up front, whether it's a running play or a passing play. The offensive line for Toronto looks the same initially, both plays.
2nd and long. Flutie on the run. Finds his man. That's Daryl Mitchell, and Mitchell has a first down to the Saskatchewan 7-yard line. A crisp throw and a good catch by Daryl Mitchell.
This is what running the ball successfully will do for you. Flutie will have plenty of time. That's because that Saskatchewan defense has had to read run now. They read run, they get a little bit of slower pass rush. Flutie has tons of time, and Daryl Mitchell gets open.
Gain was 23. 1st and goal from the Saskatchewan 8. Here comes the rush. Flutie gets it away. Pinball. Brought out of bounds just outside the 1-yard line on a good defensive play by Bryce Bevel. It's a gain of 7, but Bevel didn't have much choice but to grab Pinball's head.
And Bryce Bevel got kind of caught up in the rob or the pick at the top of the screen just to your right. He had trouble fighting through to get out there, and Pinball had a little bit of leverage on him, but Bevel kept him out of the end zone.
2nd and goal from the 1. Just over 5 minutes to play in the first half. Drummond, the lone man in the backfield. Drummond does not get in, or does he? One official says yes, the other says no, and it is a touchdown for Robert Drummond. It didn't look to me like he got in, but we've got a great look for you, and you make the call. The ball has to touch the front part of the goal line.
Well, Drummond's going to go up and over. I believe it's K.D. Williams that hits him right in the hole. You be the judge. Did he get in?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
The one official on the far side of the field made the indication for touchdown. Mike Vanderjagt now for the point after. Drummond with the touchdown. The Argos with the lead. Vanderjagt puts it through with 4:53 to play in this first half. Well, let's have another look at this and look what the officials do, because it's interesting. The official on the near side doesn't indicate touchdown. It's the official on the goal line on the far side who calls touchdown.
can say about that is the official to that side was on the side that Robert Drummond had the ball in his hands. That official, number 80,
Ken Pico,
he was on the side that he saw Robert Drummond's back. So maybe from the other side, that ball did cross the plane.
By the way, both those officials are from Regina. So no, you can't accuse them of home cooking. But an intriguing decision down at the goal line, and it is a Toronto Argonaut touchdown. And the Argos, with 4:53 to play, now have a 9-3 lead. We mentioned Mike Vanderjagt was the kicker for Saskatchewan earlier. After 2 games, his coach cut him. That coach was Don Matthews, who didn't appreciate the fact that Vanderjagt went to a wedding and came back late. Now, with Toronto, Vanderjagt was the outstanding Canadian, kicking 5 field goals in the Grey Cup win last year. Dave Denal on the kickoff return. Here goes Dave Denal. He's got the kicker to beat. Vanderjagt gets on him and forces him out of bounds, but there's a flag down back at the 25-yard line. A 60-yard kickoff return, but this one may be going back.
Well, the direction that Saskatchewan offensive line is heading out to, I think it's against the Riders.
And it is against Saskatchewan. It was a fire drill for Saskatchewan just before the ball was kicked. Did the Riders have too many men on the field?
Illegal block. Saskatchewan 45. First down.
Randy Straczynski is called for the illegal block. He's number 45, blocking Brendan Rogers.
You get a great look at it, and it's a good call by the official. He hits him in the back. When you see the back numbers or the name tag, you got to let him go. And Randy Straczynski just cost his team about 70 yards of field position.
A product of the Regina Rams junior system. Now from the 20, this is Mims. And Mims ran into Reggie Gibbons, but gets out to the 25-yard line for a pickup of 5. Well, Robert Drummond caps it off, a 57-yard drive that took 8 plays, and Drummond scores his 2nd touchdown of the year. He led the Canadian Football League with 17 scores a year ago.
Well, in that drive, we had the pass to Daryl Mitchell, but Robert Drummond was the key in the running game. Slow down that Saskatchewan pass rush a little bit.
Under 4 minutes to play now in the first half. 2nd down, Slack slings it out there. It is complete, but juggled by Curtis Mayfield, and that cost him the first down. It's a pickup of 4, and Saskatchewan will be forced to punt.
Yeah, and I think even if he catches it clean, Gord, I don't know that Adrian Smith was bearing down on him and had him lined up for the big hit. You're going to see him bobble it and have to come back and keep working.
But if he makes the catch, he's at the 30, and at least it's only inches.
Yeah, if he goes down, at least it's a short gamble.
94-74, 94-74. Clemens back deep to take the kick. A low driving punt over Clemens' head. And bouncing down into Toronto territory inside the 5. Pinball. Corral down there and drop at the 6. A 76-yard punt. Jason Mallett gets down to make the stop. Wow.
Well, I was going to start to say I'm a little surprised that Paul McCallum keeps kicking it to Pinball Clemens because he's having such a great game returning it. But if you can kick it over his head, and McCallum just got a hold of that one. Pinball was too tired by the time he chased that ball down to turn around and get a return out of it. And Jason Mallett comes up with a big stop.
Paul McCallum in his first year as the full-time kicker. He also performs the punting duties now. Uncorks a 76-yard. Now the Saskatchewan D looking for a big stop. Clemens. Stacked up quickly. K.D. Williams up to make the tackle. Pinball gets out across the 10, and we've reached the 3-minute warning. Toronto has the lead, but Saskatchewan's got lots of fight at Taylor Field. Well, Well, Doug Flutie's numbers so far through 2 weeks, completing 74% of his passes, 707 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Saskatchewan forgot to read the paper this morning. The Riders forgot how good he is.
Oh, you know,
they got a job on him today.
Yeah, all the talk about Doug Flutie, that fires up that defense.
2nd and 5. Flutie under pressure, gets away. Now it's a jailbreak, and he finds his man, Daryl Mitchell, up at the 25-yard line for a Toronto first down, a gain of 13 yards.
Well, Doug Flutie initially wanted to get Pinball Clemens on the play, but Henry Newby eliminates him. You're going to see 31 just outside your screen there. He got just floored, and Flutie does a nice job of getting to the outside, but the jam and his good hits going on down the field all over.
First down. The underneath option. Robert Drummond tries to get out there, but Bryce Bevel comes up to make the stop, a gain of 5 yards. That's the shotgun option, and we call it the reverse option because instead of optioning the ball back, you option it forward. If it's dropped, it's a pass.
Here's Robert Drummond's going to come right underneath on the option. Now, Bobby Jerson, 71, is going to go straight to Doug Flutie. That's his responsibility, and he's looking for Bryce Bevel in the flow from the linebackers to take Drummond.
Correct snaps, shotgun options. Where is their playbook? In sand? Now Flutie, under pressure. Still going. Slides down to the 35-yard line. That'll leave him about a yard short of a Toronto first down, and Don Matthews doesn't hesitate. He sends out the punting unit.
Well, of course, last night Anthony Calvillo got hit in the concussion, and Don Matthews does not want his star quarterback, Doug Flutie. You see his head hit the ground just like Calvillo's did last night. Running around too much, especially when he has a bit of a turf toe, and pretty aggressive Saskatchewan defense right now. Don Matthews would rather see number 20 just throw it.
Now, they're just about a link of the chain short. Matthews has the punting unit out in the field, but now changes his mind and sends Flutie in the offense back. And Toronto will gamble with 1:53 to go in the first half.
Doug Flutie calls all his own plays and pretty much works on the game plan while with John Jenkins, but he's in complete control of his offense, and I think he'll call his own number right here.
3rd and inches. Now, someone didn't like something. Dave Ewell called a halt to the proceedings, and they'll start over again. Flutie. Straight ahead. Should have it, but Saskatchewan is saying it stopped right here.
Well, they're saying that he dropped the ball. They're going to measure it.
There's about 25,000 referees here helping him make the call. But you know what? They're biased, and that's a first down. He might have got the left-footed spot there. If he gets the right-footed spot, he's short. But he got the left-footed spot, and I think he made it.
Yeah, I think so. Not by the length of the football. You know, when you're in short yardage situation as a linebacker, you just have to go, try to anticipate the snap count and knife in there. K.D. Williams hits Doug Flutie right in the back. Now, they were yelling that Flutie dropped the ball. He did recover it, and he recovered it with enough yardage for the first down.
That's twice the Argos have gotten the benefit of the call on short yardage. First down, Flutie, look out! He gets hit, the ball hangs up. Almost intercepted, then almost caught, then almost intercepted again. Doug Flutie is hit, and he is hurt.
K.D. Williams came on the blitz from the outside. Saskatchewan said that they're going to try and get him coming hard. See Lamar McGreek's in the middle of the screens in coverage, and 43 Williams coming from the backside will hit Flutie just as he throws the football. Jason Mallett has a shot at it, and Bryce Bevel as well, but you're going to see the hit that Flutie takes right there and goes down real hard. That's back-to-back plays now that Flutie's been hit by that guy.
He stays in, but Flutie limping noticeably. point after that will give Saskatchewan the lead.
Not getting on the special teams.
Williams asking for a blow on special teams. He's been all over the field and he's saying, someone's got to take me on this kickoff cover team coming up. I'm winded.
McCallum, the point after is good. 10-9 Saskatchewan. That pass was tipped into the hands of K.D. Williams and returned for a 30-yard touchdown.
Lamar McGreg's scored maybe the best all-around athlete on this football team, and he comes on the blitz. See 38 right here. Watch him get up and knock this one down as Flutie throws it. The ball floats around, and K.D. Williams, who we've talked about loves to play against Toronto, picks it off and takes it into the end zone. He's involved in a couple of plays previous. He hits Doug Flutie in the back on a blitz, and then picks off the ball with a big touchdown for Saskatchewan.
He returned an interception for a touchdown last year for Winnipeg. Now he gives Saskatchewan the lead. Wow, what an atmosphere here on a Saturday night in Regina. The crowd went wild.
Lamar McGreg's with a great athletic play, just throws Robert Drummond aside, and he's a tough blocker and gets up there and knocks that one down, and that's how K.D. Williams comes up with the pick.
1:13 to play in the first half. The slogan in Saskatchewan this year is the heart of the CFL is beating strong. And you know what? You can hear it tonight. McCallum to kick it off. Lester Smith and pinball back to receive. This is Clemens from the 15. Pinball out to the 40 before Dan Rashovich brings it down. Now Toronto will get the ball right back. Worst thing about throwing an interception for a touchdown, or the best thing, you got to come right back out.
Makes it a little tired, especially if you ran 30 yards. Either trying to tackle the guy who intercepted it, is what Doug Flutie did on the play.
Chris Zarka is the injured Saskatchewan Roughrider, native of Vancouver, who was taken in the second round of the most recent Canadian Football League draft. Zarka, a special teamer.
He's the guy who went on for K.D. Williams on the kickoff cover team, so Williams could take the blow.
I'll tell you what, the Toronto Argonauts were diagramming their offense last night. They may go back to the drawing board.
Well, Saskatchewan's defense scored. Watch the Hamilton film, and Hamilton's defense had a lot of success against Doug Flutie by playing some zone and spying him with linebackers, and that's what K.D. Williams has been doing so far in this game. He's been sitting back and watching Flutie and going where he goes. That time he flowed right where Flutie was throwing it and came up with the football.
Well, Flutie and Williams met before the game for a nice chat. Now they meet here for a not-so-nice conversation.
Williams has flowed to the right and got outside just in case Doug Flutie decided to run, and all of a sudden the ball shows up.
Zarka makes his way slowly off the field. Toronto has the ball 1st and 10 from its own 40, 1:07 to go. And on the bench for Toronto is Robert Drummond. He's all buckled up and appears ready to go, but
well, Lamar McGreg's hit Drummond when he knocked that pass down. I wonder if he maybe hurt a little bit over there.
Flutie, that pass is bad and almost picked again by K.D. Williams.
And guess who batted it down? Lamar McGreg's. Lamar McGreg's last week intercepted a pass, flipped it out to Dale Joseph, and they took it for a touchdown, and back-to-back plays now. He's got his hands on the football. He's a great athlete and gets up there again and knocks it down.
I'll tell you what, the crowd cheering every move the Riders make here in the first half. 2nd and 10. Flutie has his man and might have a first down as he completes it up there to Darryl Mitchell. Very close to a Toronto first down, and the crowd again booing the spot. And it is a Toronto first down, a pickup of 10 yards.
Daryl Mitchell gets his forward progress where he catches the ball. Now, if he gets hit and pushed backwards, the ball goes back to where he initially caught it.
Now the Argos from the 50. Less than a minute to play in the first half. Here comes the blitz. Flutie gets it away. Incomplete to Mazzotti. They say the ball touched the turf, and Mazzotti took a hard knock at the end of it just for good measure.
I like to be Paul Mazzotti on that play. Incomplete pass doesn't count for anything.
And you get smacked.
You get hit anyway because...
For your own guy. Watch this.
Katie Williams hits him right into his own guy.
Mazzotti's been a quiet man here in the first half. 2 catches. Second down from the 50. Flutie steps up. Mazzotti has the catch. Oh, man, he got smoked again. Vincent Donaldson unloaded on him right at the 45-yard line where Mazzotti stepped out of bounds to pick up a 15 yards, and also in there was Dale Joseph.
Well, Saskatchewan tried to drop off into his zone. They've been having success with some pressure. Dropped off into the zone that play, and Paul Mazzotti, one of the best in the business at finding holes in the zone.
First down, Toronto. Flutie. Batted down again. LeBrand Robinson got it this time. That's 3 for Flutie. And that'll bring up a huge second down play for the Argos, who are still, it would appear, out of field goal range.
LeBrand Robinson on a little bit of a stunt with Bobby Jerson. Here's LeBrand Robinson right here. He's going to go that way, Jerson the other. Real disciplined pass lanes right now for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and when they get in there, those hands are coming up.
Second and 10 from the 45. First down. Vincent Donaldson was the first man there to pick up a 4 yards. It might have gotten the Argos in the field goal range. And 30 seconds to play in this first half. Coming up live at the half, Rod Smith with Marty York, Les, and Bob, and highlights of an entertaining week 3 in the Canadian Football League. You know all about that. You've done 3 of the 4 games.
And it has been a good week. And you know what? I bet you Les Brown right now is so pumped up about this defense. He'll be talking about that a little bit at halftime.
Vanderjagt will try a 48-yard field goal into a slight win. This for the lead. It's got lots on it, but it's wide to the right. And Harris will bring it out. Tripped up the 5-yard line. 8 seconds to play in the first half. Good move by the Riders to bring the ball up.
Well, it is a good move now. With just 8 seconds left, they can pretty much kill this half and go into the locker room, not giving up that extra point. So field position not important right now.
Well, Don Matthews and company will go to the room and talk about the fact that they're still very much in the football game. It's only 10-9, but I'll tell you what, you talk about good defenses, and Matthews talked about his. Yesterday, he was also praising the way Saskatchewan plays defense, and the Green Riders showing the country just how good it is right now. Reggie Slack takes a knee. He'll do that one more time. And then the Saskatchewan Roughriders will go to the locker room with the lead after 30 minutes, and this appreciative Saskatchewan crowd bound to salute their effort. But remember, it's Saskatchewan's defense that has scored the touchdown for the Green Riders. Slack kneels down. That's the end of the first half. And the crowd here at Taylor Field rises to applaud the home side. The Saskatchewan Roughriders with a 10-9 lead through the first half. Lots of adjustments coming up. The second half still to play right now. Back to CFL Live Control.
Welcome back to CFL Live at the Half. Rod Smith along with Obi, Les, and Marty. And Glenn Suter had guessed that Les Brown, who loves to talk about defensive play so much, would be talking about it here when it's dominated. But no, it's Saskatchewan's conservative offense that has you going.
That conservative offense is just eating me up inside. Twice Saskatchewan was on a 3rd and 1 and they elected to kick the ball instead of go for it. One time it was in their own territory, which coach is going to argue with me that they should have never done it,
no
right?
question.
But the other time they were in Toronto's territory where they elected to kick a field goal. Now, you got the best running team probably in the CFL, and you elect to kick the ball twice. You know, playing conservative is not going to get you a win.
Hey, but the Saskatchewan defense, once again, is playing very well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's playing excellent. You know?
Listen, when you're playing against the best team in the country, undefeated, Grey Cup champions, and you got a chance to take the lead, you take the lead. And when you're on your own 17-yard line early in the game, you're not going to go for a first down on a long yard.
Scared man can't win. And you know what?
And a dumb man won't win.
He is showing that he has no confidence in his team at all. In his offense
he's
whatsoever.
showing intelligence as the head
You know
coach.
what?
That's what he's showing.
That's the old school, and that's why you're not coaching anymore.
That's why you'll never be a coach.
It's getting nasty. It's getting hot in here. Now listen, though, you talked about before about the best ways contain Doug Flutie, but just tell me about the pressure Saskatchewan's D's been putting on.
Saskatchewan's doing a great job of mixing up their coverages, and they're blitzing a lot more than Hamilton did. And on the touchdown, on the interception, you'll see McGriggs come in from here and tip the ball and causes the deflection, and then Katie Williams takes it in. They're coming on, and they've got that quickness that Les mentioned early in the game about coming off the edge, and they're giving them a lot of problems with their speed.
I still think that Flutie just doesn't look right. I have to think that turf toe, or whatever it is hurting him a lot more than he's saying. You know, a couple years ago, he had an elbow injury in Calgary, and he was too proud to tell anybody that it was that serious. He kept saying, oh, it's minor, it's minor. Well, he ended up having surgery. So, you know, that's the kind of guy he is. He doesn't want people to know about his turf toe, perhaps. I think he's hurting. He just doesn't seem to be himself tonight.
I tell you what, that Saskatchewan defense putting a heck of a lot of pressure on him,
question about it.
And then you know what's
I think it's a combination of both, Les.
And you know what's scary about this is that that's a unit that has a lot of new people on it. And this is the 3rd game of the season. And they're already starting to gel. Can you imagine later in the season when this team is playing fully together?
Katie Williams, best linebacker in the league, and maybe best in CFL history. Sorry, Wayne Harris.
Yeah, well,
I think so.
He's outstanding. You can't say that.
No, but he's just so good. He's just
flashy.
so good.
He is
when
good.
he rushes from the outside, he's unbelievable. Isn't he, Bob?
You said that
Stick up for me, Bob.
Coach, you said that last year.
I did.
Angelo Snipes was the best linebacker on that team.
I didn't think so.
He is very good. Katie's very good.
Why isn't Angelo Snipes playing this year?
Oh, that's because of contract. Money. Like everything else in the CFL, money.
Yeah.
In the end, I was assured I would get the last word here as we head to another break. It's coming at a premium tonight, folks, with Saskatchewan leading the Argos 10-9 at the half. When we come back, we'll have a look at some of the other highlights from Week 3 in the CFL. Stay tuned. Russ Jackson led the Ottawa Roughriders to 4 Grey Cup games, winning 3 of them, including his farewell game in 1969. A brilliant on-field leader, Jackson was a 3-time winner of the league's Most Outstanding Player Award, and 4 times was named the Most Outstanding Canadian. Russ Jackson, one of the all-time CFL greats. And you can see more on Russ Jackson and other CFL legends at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton.
Stampeder 52 for a first down. Play action fake by Ham, who took a big hit as he delivered. Touchdown. Garcia. Alouettes go to the Stampeder 52 for a first down. Play action fake by Ham, who took a big hit as he delivered. Touchdown. Garcia tries this side. Now they converge. Touchdown! It was tipped ahead. On first down, tries to get away and somehow does. He's passing tonight. And he almost gets a first down out of it. Back at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. First offensive play for the Edmonton Elks. scooped up by Virgil Robertson. Touchdown, BC. Blood fumbles again. And it appears the Lions have it once more. On first down, McManus pump fake. Nobody open, goes back to the other side. Pick, Eddie Thomas. Eddie Thomas with the interception. And now, trying to get around Eddie Brown. Here comes the rush. McManus steps in, and a bullet picked off by Don Wilson. Shipman with the first down, and then some up the sideline. Touchdown.
Osbaldiston and his 35. And the block is on. The Bombers have it. Racing toward the end zone is Kelsey Perrin. What a great drive that Vargas has engineered here. Williams again, and he gets the touchdown. Cigar lit up by Jeff Reinbold. There's the double.
When was the last time you saw it?
That was the week so far, week 3 in the CFL, and we've got week 4 coming up, of course, beginning Thursday, 7:30 Eastern. A big day for the Ticats, to be sure, and a lot of trouble taking on the Argos. Doesn't get much tougher than that. In Saskatchewan and Calgary, that's Friday Night Football, and then on Saturday, Winnipeg Blue Bombers at BC Place to take on the Lions. The standings? Well, Toronto, of course, trying to move into a tie again with Montreal at 3-0, followed by Winnipeg and Jeff Reinbold's first victory last night at Iverwin Stadium, which pushed the Ticats to 0-3. And meanwhile, in the West, Edmonton falling to 2-1 after losing to the BC Lions. Saskatchewan trying to join them, and Calgary facing Saskatchewan this coming week and facing the possibility of falling to 0-4. Surprise, surprise. And the story, of course, as we talked about last night with the other Ticat loss to fall to 0-3 is Don Sutherland. And Marty, the future of Don Sutherland not looking very good right now. What's the latest you've heard?
Well, Rod, I had a long chat today with George Grant, the co-owner of the Tiger Cats, and he didn't exactly give Sudsy a vote of confidence. He did say that Sudsy will be on the sidelines on Thursday night in Toronto. But I got the impression that anything less than a victory or a very impressive loss will mean the end for Sudsy. Grant is extremely concerned about the offense, and it's going to be even tougher for the Tiger Cats on Thursday night offensively because Calvillo may be out with this concussion, which means that the Ticats are going to have to go with 2 very young rookie quarterbacks, Mike Colley and Kendrick Nord.
Well, Marty, I'm glad to hear you say that as far as this upcoming game, because last night you seemed to indicate that Don was going to go after that game last night, and there's no way that Don Sutton could be held responsible as a head coach for Osbaldiston missing a sure 3 points from 15, and then Gonzalo Floyd getting thrown out of the game, and then he loses his starting quarterback. What does the head coach have to do with that?
Well, Bob, you're speaking like a head coach, obviously.
Always.
Well, Les Calgary Stampeders, as I alluded to, face the possibility, first time I believe since the mid-'80s, of going to 0-4, and we've seen the Saskatchewan team so far. That's going to be awfully tough, even though the Stamps are back home.
Well, I tell you what, Saskatchewan, I hope they get through tonight with a win. That way they don't have to face a team like Calgary that's going to be facing an 0-4 start, because you don't want to face a team like that. That's like a dog being backed up into a fence and can't get away. That team is going to be angry and fighting mad.
Well, so far Saskatchewan looks fighting mad against the Toronto Argonauts, looking impressive, especially defensively after the interception for the touchdown, leading Flutie and the Argos by 1. With Gordon Glenn after this. We're live and interactive here at TSN. Here is your updated standings of QB1 through the half at Taylor Field tonight. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders have to like that half. The matchup between Flutie and the Roughrider D going Saskatchewan's way so far. With their thoughts, a look at the numbers of the first half. Let's head back to Taylor Field and Gordon Glenn.
Thank you, Rod. The numbers look pretty ugly for Toronto after the first quarter of play. Toronto had just 9 passing yards and 0 net. Here are the halftime numbers brought to you by Dodge Trucks. Well, a little better for Toronto. In fact, the Argos lead with 130 net yards. Don't undersell this Toronto defense, which has been overshadowed somewhat by Saskatchewan's tonight, but nonetheless is playing excellent football. Glenn, yesterday, Jim Daly told us that the key to beating Doug Flutie and the Argos, keep them off the field and score when you get the chance.
Absolutely, and Les Brown made the point at halftime. He says Saskatchewan hasn't been taking advantage of it. They need to, because their defense is playing real well right now, and they're the only ones who scored. A tremendous first half in front of a huge crowd here on a great summer night. We're looking forward to the second half right now. Stand by for a TSN Sports Break. Well, the story of a
before this game was which defense would get the job done the best. The answer so far, too close to call. Doug Flutie's 12 of 23 after getting off to a 1-for-7 start. Reggie Slack's 8 for 13. The Toronto offense has scored a touchdown. The Saskatchewan defense has responded. Sunset in the West. And now we'll get a chance to see if the Toronto Argonauts can improve their record to 3-0, or see if the Saskatchewan Roughriders will join a three-way tie for first place in the West with Edmonton and BC.
Well, Jim Daly knows, Gord, that Doug Flutie went in there at halftime, talked to John Jenkins and Don Matthews, and you can bet that when he comes out in the second half, he has a new game plan, an adjusted game plan to take care of what Saskatchewan's doing to them right now defensively.
Saskatchewan won the coin toss at the start of the game, deferred its choice in the second half. So the Green Riders will get the ball to open the second half. Rod Harris is back deep to receive, along with Dave Denal. Mike Vanderjagt sends it low and deep. Denal from the 12. And Dave Denal fights his way out, lost the football, but I believe he got it back. He did. And Saskatchewan will start from the 33-yard line. Mentioned the point earlier, Glenn, you can't undersell this Toronto Argonaut defense. Only one quarterback sack in 2 games, but the Argos have allowed the fewest points, the fewest yards, and the fewest first downs through the first 2 weeks of the season. And while Saskatchewan's defense played great in the first half, Toronto's was with them step for step.
And all those categories you mentioned, Gord, improvements over last year. We don't have to remind everyone who won the Grey Cup last year.
Slack plays fake to Robert Mims. Out the flat he goes, and what a snag by Dan Farthing. Dan Farthing goes down to the 37-yard line. A spectacular catch, but only 4 yards to show for it.
Well, right now, that defense that we talked about, you see Michael O'Shea up there and then dropping. They're showing blitz in this early in the second half and then dropping out, and Dan Farthing had to stretch out to catch that one.
Dan Farthing talking things over with Dwayne Dimitrition of the Argos before this game, former teammates at the University of Saskatchewan, comparing ticket troubles for games like this. Slack. Going over the top for Harris. And the pass is over his head. Antonius Bonner was there on the coverage, and Reggie Slack got smacked.
Well, Demetrius Maxey and Oscar Giles were in there on Reggie Slack. This play takes a little while to develop. He's waiting for Rod Harris to open up on the corner route, and Oscar Giles keeps working and gets to him.
And unusual to see Reggie Slack working from the shotgun. He's not much accustomed to it. Paul McCallum will now take the deep snap to punt. The pinball back deep to receive. Low kick. Bounces to the pinball at the 27-yard line. And Clemens gets out to the 33, not much further. Henry Newby gets up to make the stop. And now some pushing and shoving breaks out. Flutie gets in the middle of it as Adrian Smith was involved in there over at the Toronto bench. And here's Doug Flutie, what he does from the shotgun. 12 for 23 passing under center. He did not throw a pass while under center. 9 times they rushed the ball. 6 of the times Flutie lined up under the center. So basically, when Flutie lines up under center, they're running. When he's in the shotgun, they're not.
I'm a little surprised to only see 1 shuttle pass as well. Last week they had about 8.
On first down. Flutie flushed out of the pocket. Looking for help. Still going, and Flutie gets up to the 43-yard line. K.D. Williams comes back to bring him down with Troy Alexander. One thing about Doug Flutie that opposing defenses will tell you is that he doesn't often throw the ball deep, and this bears that out. Only 1 attempt over 25 yards. This is how far he actually threw the ball, not how far the completion went with the run. So the vast majority, 10 yards or less.
Yeah, and well, he feels, though, that when you got Robert Drummond and Mike Clements and Daryl Mitchell, guys that are great athletes like that, give them the ball early and let them do something with it.
Quick pass to the pinball. And pinball's got a first down up to the 49. Pinball takes that quick pass and dives his way out of bounds. And used to be the rule that if the pass was caught behind the line of scrimmage and dropped, or if it went incomplete, it was a live ball. That rule was changed about 15 years ago. But the way Flutie and company operate behind the line of scrimmage really is something to watch.
Well, they do it by formation. Mike Clemens will stay about 4 or 5 yards deeper than the other receivers. That allows him to get in the soft spot.
First down from the 49. Flutie zings it out there for Robert Drummond, and he's brought down quickly by Lamar McGriggs. Gain of a yard up to the 51-yard line. And the Rider defense picking up where it left off in the first 30 minutes of this football game. And this was the scene earlier when Doug Flutie had pass after pass, knocked down, fall incomplete. And of course, this was the one tipped by Lamar McGriggs and returned for a touchdown by K.D. Williams, Saskatchewan's only major of this football game. Now on second down and long, Flutie, lots of time. Room, gets away. Look out, Flutie slides into Saskatchewan territory at the 52-yard line. A gain of 7. He'll be a yard short of a Toronto first down, and there's an injured Saskatchewan Roughrider. And it appears to be K.D. Williams who's hurt.
K.D. Williams was in charge of spying Flutie on the play. And he's the one who actually makes the tackle, but in doing so, he's holding his thigh or his hamstring. He may have bruised his thigh or pulled that hamstring trying to chase after Doug Flutie.
K.D. Williams enters week 3. Second in the league in tackles. He finished second in the league last year with 112. Let's see what happens.
Well, as soon as he sees Flutie take off and run, he's going to fly over there and chase him down. It's right here now. He's in pursuit. Just as he goes to tackle Flutie right here, McGriggs' knee hits him right in the hip. That looks like a hip pointer or right in the lower rib area. Watch McGriggs' knee right there.
Wow, right in the ribs. And McGriggs, in obvious pain, remains on the turf. 11 minutes to play in the third quarter. Saskatchewan with a 10-9 lead, but one of the Green Riders' best players remains on the turf.
The CFL Live on TSN is brought to you in part by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
Coming up this week number 4, the Hamilton Ticats visit the Toronto Argonauts, the return game of the one they played a week ago. That comes your way on TSN. And coming up on Friday Night Football, Saskatchewan and Calgary. The Stamps 0-3 play the first of a home-and-home with Saskatchewan. Then on Saturday, Winnipeg and BC. Jeff Reinbold makes his return to the stadium at BC Place. And on the turf here at Taylor Field, K.D. Williams is being attended to by Saskatchewan team physicians. And you could see when K.D. went down, this was serious, and you wonder about kidney, something like that. And we'll show it to you again. And it was the knee from Lamar McGriggs, unintentional, as they were chasing Doug Flutie, that caused the problem.
Both players flowing to the football, and Doug Flutie takes off. Right near the end of the play, you're going to see K.D. Williams right here pull him down. Now watch the knee. Here it comes. The right knee of Lamar McGriggs.
And you saw Williams shoot down as soon as it happened.
He reached right for that back.
So Williams is now sitting up, but is in an obvious degree of pain. And what a blow this would be to the Saskatchewan defense. A CFL All-Star in 1996, K.D. Williams came here to key the Saskatchewan defense. And Jim Daly feels he's got a pretty good group here in Regina.
We've really upgraded our talent. They're gelling tremendously well for having so many new people on defense. But guys like Bobby Jurison and LeBryant Robinson and Vincent Donaldson, who are the veterans in that group, have really led the way in meshing that group and getting everybody to play on the same page of the book. And we think in a game or two we're going to become a very formidable defense.
K.D. Williams is walking his way off the field, and Saskatchewan's defense somewhat less formidable if he is not able to return.
What a first half K.D. Williams had. The interception for a touchdown. A bunch of pressures on Doug Flutie in the backfield.
The Argos will gamble on 3rd and a yard. Randy Srachinski, number 45, comes in to take Williams' place. Flutie trying to draw, they're not budging.
They're going to punt it now.
The oldest trick in the book, but it didn't work.
Well, the call from Don Matthews was to draw him offside. If you can't do it, let the time run out.
Have a listen to this.
Bobby over there, Bobby Jerson over there congratulating that D-line just for the discipline. Stay in there and not be drawn offside.
Now Vanderjagt to punt. Low kick. This is Harris from the 22-yard line. And Harris gets up to the 30. That's where Saskatchewan will start. So a frustrated Doug Flutie once again makes his way to the Toronto sideline. And that hard count, they call it, that hut.
Yep.
It was working on me. I was jumping up here, but Saskatchewan wasn't biting.
And you wouldn't play defensive line either.
I'm a little skinny. The report, by the way, from the Saskatchewan bench, a knee to the ribs of K.D. Williams. And they'll hope that he can come back. Right now, the focus on the Saskatchewan offense. Reggie Slack swings it out for Robert Mims. And Mims makes a good catch and gets close to a first down up to the 39-yard line. Robert Mims made that catch looking right back into the sun.
Was a real good catch, run coming back across your body to pick it up, and then a nice block by Dan Farthing out in the open field. You see the pursuit coming out here. Watch Farthing right there. Nice block there, and then a little over pursuit by Reggie Givens. And there's the block by Dan Farthing, and watch Reggie Givens just kind of overrun the play a little bit. Robert Mims cuts back and gets an extra half a yard out of it.
2nd and inches now for Saskatchewan. Reggie Slack dives straight ahead and has a Saskatchewan first down.
You talked earlier, Gord, about Reggie Slack's knee and how there was concern coming in about the knee. I found it interesting to talk to Reggie Slack about it. He said, you know, when the doctors were telling him back in 1994 that his career may be over, he did a little experiment with the knee and injected it with a sort of a fluid, synthetic fluid in the knee.
And he's like oil?
Well, that's what they joke with him afterwards. He says every now and then he goes to get it upgraded. He says like a lube and oil.
This is Mims. And not much doing for Robert Mims there. Oscar Giles, Rob Waldrop got in there to make the stop. Well, we got to the point with Reggie Slack where it appeared there wasn't a team in the league would clear him for a medical. The knee appeared so bad, but Slack rehabbed it, had some scoping done on it, and now says that he's running as well as he did when he came out of college at Auburn University.
Yeah, he said he didn't need any more lube and oils. He's ready to go.
Now, does he go to like a 40-weight oil in the wintertime? Is that what he does?
Must be WD-40 for here in Regina.
2nd down, Slack all day, up over the top, wide open, Curtis Mayfield. What a catch! Down to the 26-yard line, Curtis Mayfield walks the tightrope and makes a big catch. Pick up a 42 yards.
Sorry, Gord, the throw was unbelievable by Reggie Slack because it was in between the covers. Marcelo Simmons has the short area, but he falls off with Curtis Mayfield. The ball is just over him and just in front of Johnny Harris, who you'll see right there in your screen. That ball was put right on the spot by Reggie Slack. A great throw to get it in there.
First down, Saskatchewan from the 26-yard line. Slack from the shotgun. Shovel pass. And it goes to the fullback, Sean Daniels, who gets down to about the 20-yard line for a pickup of 6. And we've used this word before. Here's a look at it.
Right out of the Toronto Argos playbook, little shuttle pass right underneath. And, you know, Toronto's defense practices against that all week. They've seen that before.
A lot of teams call it the shovel pass. Yesterday, Richie Hall from Saskatchewan called it a shuffle pass or the shovel pass. It's just a forward lateral from the shotgun. But the advantage is, if it misfires, it's an incomplete pass. Right. Now slack for Narcisse, and Narcisse juggling the ball, lost it over the back of his head, and that'll bring up 2nd and 4, and the field goal unit for the Green Riders. Make that 3rd and 4, of course.
Well, he had the play set up to where it looked like Narcisse could pick up the 1st down had he hung on to the ball. Nice little jab step there to cut in behind his blocking and Robert Mims, and he just can't hang on. And it's a good thing for the Riders that he deflected the other way, or else that may go the distance the other way.
Well, we touched on it in the first half, and the panel did in the halftime program as well. Saskatchewan's got to start taking advantage of some of these opportunities.
Yeah, 3 points isn't going to get it done.
This to make the lead 4. McCallum puts it up and through. Saskatchewan extends its lead to 13-9. 6:56 to play in the 3rd quarter. CFL Live returns to Taylor Field right after this. Moments ago at Taylor Field, a big cheer went up for K.D. Williams as he made his way back on the field after being fitted for a flak jacket, which you can see plainly right below his numbers. He'll face this Toronto offense, which begins 1st and 10 at its own 35. Direct snap, Robert Drummond. And look who's right in the middle of it, K.D. Williams.
That's one tough customer, I'm telling you right there. K.D. Williams goes on the field. Now, if he has a cracked rib or rib problem, you're going to see K.D. Williams float to at the top of your screen. Just make a great tackle on Robert Drummond with that rib problem. You have a cracked rib. Every time you take a breath in, it's a lot of pain.
Gain was 2. It's 2nd and 8. Floating, under pressure. Throws it backside from Mazzani on Patrick Burke, and a flag comes down. Patrick Burke can't believe it. He was step for step with Mazzani, and pass interference will be the call on Patrick Burke.
Well, you know, I'll say this for the officials.
Forward pass interference. Saskatchewan 39. 1st down.
I'll say this for the officials. They have called it this way all season. Now, what Patrick Burke's going to get called on is hand fighting. It's basically just hand fighting down the field with the receivers. See, both receivers, Mazzani and Patrick Burke, just kind of working each other's hands, but the officials have called it that way all season, always against the defensive back, and they got to take heed and get their hands off.
33-yard penalty, 1st down Toronto from the 40. Flutie swings it out for Drummond. Gets by Bevel, and K.D. Williams jumps all over him down to the 35-yard line. A gain of 6, and K.D. Williams right in the thick of it again, but slow to get up.
K.D. Williams is tackle to tackle. He's right here. Watch him fly out there. You see him in the top right-hand corner, close up. He is tackle to tackle, sideline to sideline against these Toronto Argonaut offensive backs.
There's a flag down.
Toronto number 2.
The play was apparently blown dead before the ball was snapped. Time count violation, Toronto.
Well, it definitely, Robert Drummond heard the whistle because he did not go to the shovel pass area that he was supposed to.
Well, that's a bad break now for Toronto versus Saskatchewan because Toronto gets 2nd down over again.
You see 29 just stood there, Robert Drummond, and he he knew that play was called down.
Can't hear a thing with this crowd. Second and 11. Flutie over the top. Has a man. Incomplete. Daryl Mitchell was wide open behind the coverage. It was a sure touchdown, but the pass was too far.
There's a bust in the secondary for Saskatchewan, and Flutie saw it. He had plenty of time. The Roughriders were only rushing 3 up front and dropping everyone else. Doug Flutie has lots of time and sees the bust. Patrick Berg, the corner on that side, was supposed to come over and pick up the receiver. He couldn't. He didn't do it. And Flutie just missed him.
Boy, the second time Flutie's trying to pass more than 25 yards. Both have fallen incomplete. Mike Vanderjagt now from the 48. Jack pushed it left. Curtis Mayfield's going to bring it up. Mayfield gets out to the 20-yard line, costs his team 15 yards in field position, but Saskatchewan does not surrender a point. The Green Riders continue to lead by 4. The loneliest man on the Toronto bench is Mike Vanderjagt, who, for lack of a better term, just scuffed an 8-iron, and he hasn't made a field goal yet today.
That's surprising because there's 9 kickers registered in the CFL stats so far this year, Gord, and only 3 of them are kicking over 50%. Mike Vanderjagt is one of them.
Green Riders start for their 20. Reggie Slack, pump fake. Wants to go to Narcisse. That was almost picked off by Marcelo Simmons, who knew that was coming right away. And as soon as Reggie Slack looked over there, he knew he was in trouble.
Oh, and he was in trouble because Marcelo Simmons had a chance at that one. And if you think back to the Edmonton game, the game that broke it open for Edmonton was the Cavis Reed interception at about this time in the game. Now, it was Kevin Mason who threw it, but that looked a lot like it.
Reggie Slack is the 6th different starting quarterback for Saskatchewan in the last 2.5 years. Here comes the blitz. Slack sidearms it, and it's incomplete. Looking there for Rod Harris. He wants pass interference on Antonius Bonner, but the flag does not come down. Saskatchewan will have to punt.
Well, Rod Harris had to go way down to get that football, and I think Antonius Bonner timed it up pretty good. You're going to see O'Shea. Carl Coulter picks up the middle linebacker, and then Reggie Givens hits Slack at the end of that play, but Rod Harris had to go down, and I think Antonius Bonner timed that one up pretty well.
Mike Clemens back deep to receive this kick from Paul McCallum. Under 4 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Andre Ware has been warming up on the Toronto sideline off and on, amid reports that Doug Flutie's foot might be getting worse. Good kick by McCallum, high and deep. Clemens back to the 36. Pinball gets past the first man, but can't beat the second. The stop is made by Todd McMillan. And Doug Flutie will come up with this Toronto offense.
Well, Gord, when you talk about Doug Flutie's foot, I had a conversation at halftime with Eric Tillman, who, of course, knows his quarterback real well, and he says the toe must be bothering him because those passes that were batted down outside the tackles. Flutie hasn't been stepping up in the pocket, and he has some concern with his quarterback right now.
Tillman, the Toronto GM, instrumental in signing this man, Andre Ware, Heisman Trophy winner '89, as Toronto's backup quarterback. He was in BC last year. First down from the shotgun. Flutie's in trouble. Screen pass for Drummond. Almost made the catch, but not quite. They tried to set up the screen, but Saskatchewan was able to snuff it out. Interesting story about Don Matthews and Eric Tillman, the Toronto coach and the Toronto GM. Their flight came in yesterday, stopped in Saskatoon first, but they weren't listening to the announcement, so they get off the plane in Saskatoon. They're walking up to get a cab, and Matthews says, wait a minute, this isn't Regina. And they had to stop and ask somebody where they were.
Yeah, Don Matthews says, hey, when the plane lands, we get off. That's how it's been on every road trip, but apparently not here.
Second and 10. Here comes the Griggs. Flutie gets it out there for Phil Malvo. But he's dragged down by Jason Mellon. A loss of a couple, and once again, the Saskatchewan defense sends Toronto's league-leading offense to the sideline.
The picture you just saw, Lamar McGrave's going over and giving Doug Flutie a pat on the back for getting rid of this ball. Lamar McGrave was full speed and had him dead to rights. Somehow, sore toe and all, Flutie got that one away, and Lamar McGraves went over and said, hey, way to go.
Vanderjagt gets a good punt away. Absolutely no wind here right now. Rod Harris runs right into Mike O'Shea, and O'Shea, who leads the league in special teams tackles, stops Harris after a 4-yard return of a 43-yard punt.
That's an amazing stat that Michael O'Shea leads the league special teams tackle and starts at middle linebacker. And that's tough. You got to go down there, cover the punt, make the tackle, and in 20 seconds line up and try and chase this guy all over the field.
Mike O'Shea, of course, was in Hamilton last week, his hometown, where he was roundly booed by the home fans. And now Reggie Slack, who was the most popular man in Winnipeg last year as the backup quarterback, that kept chanting, "We want Slack." And on the Toronto sideline, apparently Doug Flutie's drawn up some new ones. First down. Mims. Look out. First man in there was Demetrius Maxey, then Oscar Giles, and the rest of the gang came in there. And all kinds of subplots here. Katie Williams has the ice out for what may be a hip pointer. He's got the flak jacket on, but he's also got some ice on his hip, and if it's a hip pointer, that will get more painful as the day will go on.
Gordon, he is in pain. You know, he's shaking that leg, and he's up and down with his head. He is in a lot of pain right now.
Second down, Slack steps up, over the middle, Dan Farthing. First down, Saskatchewan to the 47-yard line.
This is why Jim Daly wants this starter to be Reggie Slack, because Reggie Slack has poise and can step up in the pocket. Dan Farthing's right here. He's going to work right into this area of the zone. Reggie Slack's going to step up and find him as he clears the linebackers right in that soft area in front of the DBs, right behind the linebackers. But a lot of poise by Reggie Slack to deliver that throw.
Gain of 22 for the man from Saskatoon, an all-Canadian at the University of Saskatchewan. Toss to Robert Mims. Convoy in front of him, but Mims runs right into Reggie Gibbons. A flag comes down late at the 51-yard line. That may be face mask against Toronto. It is. And a call goes Saskatchewan's way.
Well, that's a break for Saskatchewan.
Major foul, face mask, Toronto 38, first down.
Great for Saskatchewan because Toronto has done a great job defensively stopping a real potent running attack here in Saskatchewan. Reggie Gibbons is right over here in your screen. Now you follow him over here and see how he grabs the face mask of right under there with his left arm of Robert Mims. But so far that defense in Toronto has held Mims to just 40 yards rushing. That's a bad break for that defense.
First down from the 45. Slack looking for Farthing, and Johnny Harris was looking to take his head off, and the pass is incomplete.
Sometimes when you get into plus territory, you want to try and get things a little more conservative, and this is trying to be a little conservative out pass, which is almost intercepted, and Slack wanted his receiver to move out a little bit further.
Tough time right now for Saskatchewan. You see the long shadows right now, and those receivers are looking right back into the sun. Here comes the blitz. Slack gets it there for Narcisse, and Narcisse dives to the 36-yard line. Now, this will leave Saskatchewan about a yard and a half short of a first down. What does Jim Daly do here?
The panel talked about it, and there'll be plenty of talk about the 2 times already that Jim Daly has selected to kick the ball, and the fans here in Regina are calling for him to go for it, and I think this time he may.
They need to cross the 35-yard line for the first down. It's third and a full yard.
Oh boy, this is a big one.
Should be the last play of the quarter. The fullback Daniels did not get there.
No way.
He did not get there. They give it off to Sean Daniels, who had just 6 carries coming into the game. And he is stuffed by Kent Benson, Oscar Giles, and the Argos, who will have the football when the 4th quarter begins. Right now, stand by as we send you back to CFL Control.
Welcome back to CFL Live Control. Defense continues to dominate in this football game, and we've seen for the 2nd straight week how Doug Flutie can be handled, but 2 very different styles, Les. With Saskatchewan, a lot of blitzing. Is Flutie, I mean, he's had success against the blitz before. What is it, something he's doing differently tonight?
Well, I don't think it's what Doug is doing differently. I think it's what Saskatchewan's linebackers are doing to him. They are able to run him down. I think Doug knows this. The speed that they have on that defensive team will be able to chase down Doug. And as a matter of fact, when they're blitzing, they are coming very controlled. They are not running by him at full speed so he can just dodge and move out the way. They are coming at controlled speed, and if he goes to cock his arm to throw the ball, they're getting their hands up in the air and knocking it down.
And another point to add to that is that the Saskatchewan defense, when Doug's back in the shotgun and they send 6, Toronto can only pick up 5 guys on the line to protect for Doug. So it's up to Doug to get rid of the ball. But their defense is matching up very well against their receiving core, and it's all fitting together in the scheme they have to defense Doug.
Well, guys, let's also tell it like it is about the Argo offense. We've now seen the Argo offense in 11 regular season quarters. I think it's safe to say by now that they are not as efficient as they were last year.
Maybe they should have got Earl Winfield like he wanted to go to Toronto.
Hey, Earl Winfield, are you dropping a bomb on us?
Oh, I would like to drop a bomb on you, but I don't think we have enough time.
I think the Argos need to drop a bomb here or there. They almost had Daryl Mitchell in that case, but it's just not working out for them so far. Expectations heading into the 4th quarter
Well,
here?
with guys like Malvo and Mitchell and the changes on the offensive line, they're not as efficient as they were. They're not gelling like they were last year. A lot of changes.
A 4-point game so far. A bit of a surprise. 13-9, Saskatchewan leading. Flutie and the Argos trying to get something going in this 4th quarter. Let's head back to Taylor Field now. Gord Miller and Glenn Suter.
I'll tell you what, the last big play, Rod, turned in by the Toronto defense, stuffing Sean Daniels on 3rd and a yard.
Oscar Giles, the key right here, number 94. He stands up, Darren Joseph, and then works to the outside. And then he gets some support from the defensive secondary and Johnny Harris.
Argos have the ball at their own 36-yard line. Now it's the Argo receivers' turn to look back into that sun. Flutie from the shotgun. Has 4 receivers to the near side of the field. Almost intercepted. Terrell Ulmer steps in front of Feldman Malvo and knocks him down.
Terrell Ulmer playing the halfback spot from a cushion position. That means off the line of scrimmage, and he's just going to take a look at Doug Flutie. When he gets ready to throw, he comes out of that back pedal like a cannon and knocks it down.
Terrell Ulmer led Saskatchewan. Sorry, Glenn. 5 interceptions in 1996, but Green Riders looking for more picks in 1997. Second down. 3-man rush. Flutie has his man over the middle. It's Dwayne Dimitrition. His first catch of the game. And Dimitrition into Saskatchewan territory to the 47-yard line. Has his first catch of the game and a 26-yard pickup.
Dwayne Dimitrition is right at the top of your screen coming this way, and he actually falls down, gets up. Watch this. He tries to make his move, puts that one hand down, keep his balance, and then with Terrell Ulmer on his back, makes a catch.
Last year against Saskatchewan, 7 catches for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. First down. Here's Flutie. Looking there for Drummond. The pass falls incomplete. I'll tell you what, Doug Flutie as animated as we've seen him this year.
Well, he may be limited a little bit because of his injuries, but there's not a more competitive player in the Canadian Football League or in any sport than Doug Flutie. And this game is still close, and he's going after it.
What a football game. Oh, huge crowd, great night, great defense. What more could you ask for? First down as he's tripped up at the 37-yard line. Jace Mason Mallet threw himself at Drummond's feet and tripped him up, but Robert Drummond has a Toronto first down, and like the Grey Cup of last year, every time Toronto needs a big play, it turns to number 29.
Well, sometimes when you're playing aggressively on defense, you forget to pick up your man, and Henry Newby was supposed to pick out Drummond out of the backfield, didn't do it. Terrell Almer had to come off his man to make the tackle.
And now Dwayne Dimitrition is down on the field, number 28. Dwayne Dimitrition is a Saskatchewan native, and I was talking before the game. I said, how many tickets do you have to get to a game like this? He says, no, you see what I do now? To all the friends and family, buy one of those 10-ticket mini packs, and then I take my phone off the hook. Dimitrition had more catches last year than in the first 3 seasons of his CFL career combined. 13 catches, 2 touchdowns. Both touchdowns came in a game against Saskatchewan. Well, Formula One comes your way starting tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 a.m. Pacific. The British Grand Prix from Silverstone. Jacques Villeneuve is the defending champion, and later in the day, the Grand Prix of Cleveland. Villeneuve won there previously as well, but keep an eye on Paul Tracy and Greg Moore. 1-2 in the kart racing overall standings. So lots of vroom tomorrow on TSN.
Speaking of racing, I found it interesting. Katie Williams was sitting on the bench with Doug Flutie earlier in the game and asked him, if 3 quarterbacks, Damon Allen, Tracy Ham, and Doug Flutie all were in a just straight-out running race, who do you think would win? Flutie said, I think it'd be Damon Allen.
I agree.
I think so.
1st and 10. Here comes the blitz. Flutie gets it away to Drummond. The Greggs can't bring him down, and Drummond now deep into Saskatchewan territory, forced out of bounds at the 21-yard line. And once again, Robert Drummond with a big pickup, 16 yards and a Toronto first down.
Well, Saskatchewan been coming with a couple different looks. There's Troy Alexander and Bobby Jerson that have been at some point in contain and some point dropping. You see Troy Alexander takes a couple steps upfield and then tries to drop underneath that pass, although he didn't get deep enough to stop it.
20 after 8 here in Regina. And this sun is getting real tough now. First down. Here comes the rush. Flutie to the end zone. Mitchell, touchdown. Daryl Mitchell working on Dale Joseph. It's a Toronto touchdown, and the Argos are back in the lead.
Gord, you just talked about the sun, and I think Dale Joseph lost the ball in the sun because it looked like he had pretty good coverage. Daryl Mitchell did a nice job of getting to the outside and down the field. Now Joseph sort of stops right there. That allows Daryl Mitchell to get open, and I think he lost that ball in the sun.
Daryl Mitchell comes up with his 2nd touchdown catch of the year, and the Toronto Argonauts have silenced this big crowd at Taylor Field for the moment.
Wow, did it ever.
Vanderjagt points the point after up and good, and now the Toronto Argonauts have a 3-point lead in a seesaw battle on the CFL Live from Taylor Field in Regina. Doug Flutie talking to John Jenkins, the offensive coordinator upstairs, and Flutie engineers the touchdown drive that comes right off the big defensive stop by Toronto. There's Rod Harris taking the kickoff into that tough sun from the 10. Oh, man. Harris ran into a brick wall at the 32-yard line, and Rod Harris is shaken up. So Doug Flutie and the offense take the ball 74 yards downfield, and Flutie just got this away, Glenn.
Well, he may be starting to get figured out now. Right now, Troy Alexander and Bobby Jerson, who have done a pretty good job to keep him in there, come off the edge and keep him in the pocket, but Flutie just keeps backing up and lofts it up there for Daryl Mitchell.
Rod Harris stays in the game for Saskatchewan, but is limping noticeably. 12 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. Saskatchewan trails by 3. Play fake to Mims. Look out. O'Shea in slack space, and he brings him down at the 20. A loss of 11 yards as Michael O'Shea was all over Reggie Slack.
Michael O'Shea was coming on the blitz, and he had contained responsibility and did not bite on that play action fake right there. So it's one-on-one now with Michael O'Shea and a pretty good running quarterback in Reggie Slack, and O'Shea wins the battle.
2nd and 21. Think Toronto's coming?
I think they're going to have everybody up there.
Empty blitz. Slack gets it away. Harris makes the catch. And gets up to the 38-yard line, but it'll be 3 yards short of a Saskatchewan first down. Good read by Slack and a good throw, but they come up 3 yards short.
Saskatchewan had 4 receivers out there, and there was only 4 defenders to cover them because every other Toronto Argonaut was blitzing. Rod Harris cuts underneath there, picks up the ball, and very nearly gets the first down, but boy, everybody in the kitchen sink was coming on that one for Toronto.
I think Matthews was coming.
Yeah.
74, 94.
You can see now Paul McCallum shielding himself from that bright sun. Gets the low tumbling kick away to Clemens on the fly from the 40. And the pinball slides his way up to the 53-yard line. Tough sun and 2 tough teams at Taylor Field on a Saturday night CFL Live. Three more games coming your way in Week 4 on TSN. It starts with Hamilton and Toronto from Skydome on Thursday. Then Glenn, David Archer, and I will be in Calgary for the Green Riders and the Stamps. Saturday, Glenn and I will make our way to BC for the Bombers and the Lions. Well, Toronto has outscored Saskatchewan 7-0 in the fourth quarter so far, but in the first 2 games, the Argos have been outscored 21-11 in the final quarter. Start for the 53, shovel pass for Mike Clemens, and a big hole for the pinball, who gets down to the 42-yard line. A Toronto first down on a pickup of 15 yards.
Well, good. Remember, Don Matthews and Doug Flutie were drawing up plays on the sideline. This is a new wrinkle to the shuttle pass for the Toronto Argonauts because this always goes to Robert Drummond. But Mike Clemens is way up at the top of your screen and then keeps cutting through there. And the linebackers for Saskatchewan had no idea that he would get the ball on that kind of play.
First down, Toronto for the Saskatchewan 42. Sidearms it out there for Paul Mazzotti, and now all of a sudden this Toronto offense starting to look familiar. Mazzotti with a first down to the Saskatchewan 30-yard line, a pickup of 12.
Definitely been the big shift in momentum, and it all started on a goal line stand, or short yardage stand, excuse me, by the Argos defense. But watch Vincent Donaldson look the whole time out to Doug Flutie, the quarterback. Never ever look back to Mazzotti.
And Paul Mazzotti entering this game, trailing Dick Shadow by 50 yards, has just passed him in the third on the Argos all-time list. Shovel pass for Drummond. Drummond gets down to the 20-yard line. Will he be close to another Toronto first down? So Paul Mazzotti moving up on Toronto's all-time list, and Robert Drummond doing what he does best, which is everything.
Exactly. He'll line up at wide receiver where Mazzotti usually lines up in some plays, and then others will get the hard yards up the middle like he did on the last one.
Paul Mazzotti out of McKinney University has become Toronto's 3rd all-time leading receiver, and 2 pretty good ones in front of him. Terry Greer and Darrell Casement. Now direct snap to Drummond. Drummond lots of room to run. Inside the 10. Right down to the 1-yard line. Robert Drummond just dragged Jason Mallett with him for a gain of 19 yards.
Pretty good block by Dan Payne, who slides across and pulls on the play. He's right here and going to come over here on the pull. Dan Payne kicks out Troy Alexander, and when he does that, Drummond cuts right underneath the block, and then it's open field for Robert Drummond, and he's one of the best when he gets out there.
Another injured Saskatchewan player on the far side of the field. Patrick Burke is the injured Green Rider. So the Toronto Argonauts, with 8:09 to play, are right on the doorstep, leading by 3, with first and goal from the 1. And Paul Mazzotti is really getting the job done. In his 10th year, he's the senior Toronto Argonaut, a CFL All-Star in '94, who's put up 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. And this is the updated all-time leading receivers. Next up for him, Terry Greer.
Paul Mazzotti is a financial advisor in the offseason.
Yeah, it was funny talking to him before the first game of the year, and he was talking about the business cycle and mutual funds and the money supply and everything else. And I said, what do you think about the offense this year? He goes, yeah, whatever. You know, what's really interesting is that I think interest rates are going to stay low for a while.
Well, Doug Flutie can definitely bank on that guy.
Patrick Burke in his 4th year in the Canadian Football League. The first player taken in the CFL draft in '93. Let's see how he was shaken up.
Well, I guess we were talking about Paul Mazzotti. He's out there blocking Patrick Burke, and then that looked like it could be a stinger of some kind through that left shoulder in there. And stinger, of course, is when you get hit in the shoulder and collarbone area, and that whole left side of your body goes numb. Then it comes back after a few minutes.
So Patrick Burke is in the end zone, and that's where the Toronto Argonauts would like to follow. Interesting to note with the Argos, and we've talked about it's been a theme throughout the game that they obviously haven't played their best in this game, and Saskatchewan's had a lot to do with that. But I guess the mark of a really good team is when you play poorly and win.
Yeah, and they were talking about concern, Toronto's coaching staff, about the fact that their offense wasn't executing like they'd like it to. And
boy, you do that enough times and you'll win yourself one of these. The 1996 Toronto Argonaut Grey Cup ring. Or a license plate, as you wear from your Saskatchewan 1989 Grey Cup wins. So Patrick Burke makes his way slowly off the field, gives the Argos lots of time to talk it over. It is 1st and goal Toronto from the 1 with 8:09 to play in the 4th quarter. Guys were complaining about the heat before this game. Patrick Burke, a native of Jamaica, says, "Are you kidding? Where I come from, we wear parkas on days like this."
yeah, he'll be back.
So time for the Saskatchewan defense to dig in here as the Argos go looking to extend the lead on 1st and goal from the 1. Flutie gives it to Drummond. Touchdown! Robert Drummond, his 2nd touchdown of the game, and the Toronto Argonauts, with the point after to come, can make it a 10-point lead. And now the air has really got out of this Toronto crowd.
Doug Flutie, just what we were talking about, that he hasn't executed great all game, but
oh my goodness,
that was the end of some sort of dance in the end zone.
Well, that's the Toronto defensive backs doing that, and that has drawn the ire of this Taylorfield crowd and some of the Saskatchewan players.
Well, if you celebrate in the end zone too long, you can get that delay of game penalty.
Well, what if you come off the bench to celebrate?
Or objectionable conduct. But there is no flags right now.
Flutie's working time off the clock here for the point after, which Vanderjagt puts up and through. 7:27 to play in the 4th quarter. Toronto with a 10-point lead, but Saskatchewan's got lots of life. Mike Vanderjagt will kick it off for the Toronto Argonauts, who now have a 10-point lead, which could be more had Vanderjagt not missed all 3 of his field goal tries in this game. Vanderjagt puts the boot to it. Rod Harris from the 10. Big convoy in front of him. Here comes Harris. Out across the 35 to about the 38-yard line. Coming up to make the stop was Antonius Bonner, and here's Don Matthews in a previous life. As we mentioned, the only Saskatchewan coach in the last 20 years to leave here with a winning record. He was 24-22. And how did he react to that last touchdown? Well, when you've seen your team score like 8,000 of them, it's no big deal.
And he expects to win every time they go out. And that's what we talked about this 18-0 season.
But he does not think the Argos are the greatest team of all time. The Argo marketing department does.
Yes.
He does not necessarily concur. First down, Saskatchewan. They give it off to Robert Mims. And Mims is stacked up pretty quickly. Reggie Gibbons drops him down at the 40 for a pickup of 4 yards. Well, Doug Flutie's had a workmanlike evening. 232 yards passing. He's not thrown a touchdown pass. Has been picked off. That was returned for a touchdown by K.D. Williams. The Argos are well off their 97 average of 477 yards a game, but they have scored 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. Doug Flutie, by the way, never did say the Argos would go 18-0.
He made sure he told us that.
Yeah, he said, I never said that. Makes good copy, though. 2nd down, Slack. Almost intercepted. Hit Ken Benson right in the hands, and now the Bluebirds are out at Taylor Field. The Saskatchewan offense has not been inside the Toronto 20 in this game.
Well, I'll tell you why they're booing. When Kevin Mason was having problems against the Edmonton Eskimos, he was pulled from that game, and Reggie Slack went in. Now,
the fans here are chanting for Mason.
That's right, and they've talked about the fact that they have a 2-quarterback system here in Saskatchewan, and yet Reggie Slack's been struggling. Kevin Mason hasn't come in.
McCallum gets a good kick away. Pinball from the 32. Henry Newby jumps all over him and limits the return to 5. The Argos will have good field position up at the 42-yard line. Yeah, Doug Flutie and the Argos have been in something of an uncomfortable position because the marketing department has been calling them perhaps the greatest team of all time. And Flutie and Matthews not particularly comfortable with that. Flutie says that everyone's running around saying how he said the Argos could go 18-0. All he said was, we feel like we have a chance to win every time we step on the field.
And I agree with him 100% because when you have number 2 on your team, you have a chance to win.
You do have a chance.
Go on the field, absolutely.
Bit
of a payday for Bobby Jurison. He's been in charge of trying to keep Doug Flutie in the pocket all game, and he gets rewarded a little bit for it right here. Bobby Jurison, the Riders' all-time sack leader, just fights his way right past Big Dan Payne and gets a little payday for having to keep Flutie in containment all game long.
Bobby Jurison, a 3-time CFL star. Finished 5th in the CFL with 11 sacks last year. Correct snap, Drummond. And look who got there again, Bobby Jurison. And the 12th-year veteran almost single-handedly sends the Toronto offense to the sideline.
Well, Bobby Jurison on this play has contained, but lots of pursuits. He's got contained responsibility, and then he flies over in the pursuit. And I'll tell you one thing, whether it's the first play or the last, number 71 is going to be hustling to the football.
Mike Vanderjagt's a punt. Rod Harris is back deep to receive along with Bryce Bevel. Saskatchewan needs a big special teams effort. Harris from the 20. Gets his way out to about the 23. The stop is made there by Toronto's Kelly Wiltshire. Bobby Jurison, as intense as they come, as dedicated as they come, and as good as they come.
Lauren, I was just going to say that he is a warrior. He's one of those guys that would do anything it takes to win a football game. He's good in the room. He's a hard-nosed guy. He just made 2 plays in a row, and he's going to go and pump up everybody on the bench and then be a cheerleader as well. He does it all for that team.
And a defensive team meeting will take place on the Saskatchewan side. Well, the Saskatchewan offense tries to get something, anything going. Slack quickly finds Robert Mims, who's dropped immediately at the 30 for a gain of 2. 4:23 and counting the play here in the 4th quarter, and the Saskatchewan offense apparently will be in the hands of Reggie Slack for the balance of the day.
Well, you know that fans here in Regina are going to wonder why they didn't see Kevin Mason, because they've been told all year that they have 2 quarterbacks here in Regina, and both will see playing time.
Slack has time, has his man, and it would appear has a first down out across the 40-yard line. Rod Harris with the catch gets out and moves the sticks for Saskatchewan.
Rod Harris right here just going to slide underneath and pick up the first down for Saskatchewan, but Reggie Slack's going to have to start throwing this football down the field further. 10 points down. They got to throw it a little bit further down the field.
3.5 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. On first down, Slack swinging it over the top. He's got Mayfield. He's got the ball, and he's gone. Touchdown, Curtis Mayfield. 70 yards. The Riders and their fans are back in the game.
Do you think he heard me? You got to start throwing the ball down the field a little further. pretty tight coverage and just went up and got it.
Now the point after to bring Saskatchewan within 3 with 3 minutes to play. McCallum puts it through at the 3-minute warning. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have served notice that they're not ready to quit yet. Stand by. The fourth quarter finish is next. Curtis Mayfield and the Saskatchewan Roughriders are right back in it after this 70-yard touchdown.
Curtis Mayfield is right here working on Marcelo Simmons. Now, it's good coverage down the field, but it's what happens when the ball's in the air that counts, and Curtis Mayfield goes up and over the top, catches it with his hands, keeps his balance, and scores a touchdown.
Deja vu for Saskatchewan fans. 2 weeks ago in week 1 of the season, Saskatchewan trailing the BC Lions in the fourth quarter, but it was early in the fourth that Kevin Mason hooked up with Curtis Mayfield for a 60-yard touchdown that got the Green Riders back in the football game. They came back to win it in the final moments in their season opener. As Curtis Mayfield done it again, we'll find out first. Saskatchewan's defense needs another big stop as McCallum sends it deep. Pinball from the 25. Still going. And Pinball Clemens, a 20-yard return, lost the ball. Saskatchewan has it back. Dan Rashovitz has the football. The Green Riders have it back. 2:50 to go. Fourteen-year veteran Dan Rashovitz falls on it. Now we'll find out, was he down? We may have to have a listen to this.
Did the knee touch before the whistle?
I think the ball was out. The ball was out. Saskatchewan has it. 1st and 10 at the Toronto 46. 2 things to think about here. 1, score. 2, don't leave a lot of time on the clock. Stuffed by Demetrius Maxey. Saskatchewan is at the 49-yard line. Paul McCallum's career longest field goal was 55 yards in 1994.
And there's really no wind here in Taylor Field tonight, so they're going to need at least Saskatchewan and 1 more first down, maybe 15 yards before they get into legitimate range for Paul McCallum.
2nd and 13. Mike O'Shea and Antonio Bonner dropped a stack of bricks on Rod Harris. Now, what do you do? It's a punt.
Watch the hit by Antonius Bonner and the timing. Oof. Rod Harris had the ball in his hands, turned to look upfield, and was tattooed.
Now, a problem for Toronto. Mike Clemens was shaken up when he fumbled. The backup return man is Matt DeBuck. He was shaken up in the first half. So back deep to receive this punt, it's Lester Smith, who doesn't often return punts.
94.
McCallum waiting, and now booms it. Lester Smith from the 10, no yards. He's brought down at the 10, but he caught it on the fly. That'll be a 15-yard penalty. Good work by Lester Smith to catch the ball on the fly.
Great play by Lester Smith to catch it on the run, Gord. You're right, but big mistake from the Saskatchewan cover team.
Saskatchewan 22. First down.
Jason Mallett got in there too close.
Lester Smith comes across and fields that football, but Jason Mallett and Darren Joseph got inside, and Mike Clemens back on the game.
Well, Lester Smith had only 19 career punt returns before that one, but spelling off the pinball did a pretty good job. Now, 2:14 to go. Toronto 1st and 10 in its own 23. The Saskatchewan D digs in. Flutie, watch the option. Nothing doing. John Krupke. Saskatchewan. 2nd and 13. The clock running at 2 minutes. Flutie. Has time. Has a man. Mazzani. Hand fighting all the way with Patrick Burke. The Argos screaming for pass interference. Will not get it. And Toronto forced to punt, another 2 and out, forced by the Saskatchewan defense.
Gord, the difference on the coverage right here from Patrick Burke is that he looked back to the football late. The hand fighting is going on, but watch him look right there. He looked back to the football. The officials see him look back. Don't call penalty on him.
A standing ovation for the Toronto defense as it makes its way off the field. Now, Rod Harris and Bryce Bevel back to receive this punt from Mike Vanderjagt. And they're talking it over on the Saskatchewan sideline. Vanderjagt is back to kick. They take Bevel out. Well, he's getting instructions from Cal Murphy, which I'm sure is to put Rod Harris in the game. And there's an injured Saskatchewan Roughrider beside the Toronto bench. It's Patrick Burke, who always seems to get hurt on the far side of the field. So now he will slowly make his way back. And he screams encouragement to Rod Harris and Bryce Bevel. Vanderjagt will kick from his 5. Any kind of return here, and Saskatchewan gets in field goal range for a tie and perhaps overtime. 1:46 to go. What a football game. Vanderjagt gets it away. It's low and returnable. Harris from the 42. Here he goes. Harris across midfield down to the 52 was just, and I mean just, tricked up.
Gord, I didn't see the number, but whoever got his hands on Rod Harris saved a Saskatchewan touchdown because he got to the outside. And you are absolutely right. He barely got tripped up. He's going to come right at you. Rod Harris breaks it right there, hits the seam, and it's George D'Amico that gets his hand on him, and he trips over the heel of his own player.
A 16-yard return. 1:36 to play. Saskatchewan first down at the Toronto 52. Here comes the blitz. Slap to Narcisse. And Don Narcisse gets down to the 46-yard line. That'd make it a 53-yard field goal. And the clock will start running as soon as the ball is placed. A 6-yard gain.
Pretty good play selection right there to just get it out to Narcisse quickly. Reggie Slack saw the blitz coming, threw that dump pass in a hurry, and Narcisse gets decent yardage on first down.
Second down. Slack. Under pressure, and his receiver was knocked down. There's a flag down on the play, but it's not in the area that Rod Harris was knocked down. And the penalty is against Saskatchewan. Now, this is intriguing because it would be third down. You could force Saskatchewan to try a 53-yard field goal or push them back and give them second down again.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 59. Second down repeated.
Yeah, take the penalty, move them back 10, takes them out of field goal range.
But it does give them one more crack. This is James Monroe right here.
You dropped your pen, man.
I dropped the pen. I'm so excited about this game. I dropped the pen.
Second and 14. Slack over the top. Farther. One down the deep. Dan Farther in one race. To the 3. Dan Farthing, the fourth quarter hero 2 weeks ago, has done it again. 54 yards.
Dan Farthing sees no safety in the middle and goes right to the hole. Reggie Slack sees him. And Farthing comes up with a big catch with Antonius Bonner. BC game, Dan Farley scored the winning point.
First and goal from the 3. From 3 yards out, and now Paul McCallum to make it a 4-point lead. Seconds to go. The Toronto Argonauts now trail by 4 after leading by 10 3 minutes ago.
Well, the play has been successful during the game with Scott Hendrickson pulling out front. You're going to see number 63 come around, pull. Terry John leads the way as well, and Robert Mims accelerates through the hole to get Saskatchewan on top. Robert Mims, one of the best in the business at reading his blocks and accelerating through that hole. And they don't come any bigger than that one.
And don't forget Dan Farley. In week 1, 4 catches for 54 yards against BC in the last drive. And tonight, the big catch to send him down to the 3. But we're a long way from done. 38 seconds to go. Maybe the greatest comeback quarterback this league has ever seen will get another shot.
No question about that. Doug Flutie, if there's a tick on the clock, has a chance to bring his team back. You know right now, he's drawing up what he wants right on his uniform.
He's drawing it on himself. Talk about calling your own number.
He just said to Feldman Melville, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to draw back. You're going to go deep. And we're going to come back and win this game. And believe me, he believes that he can do it.
McCallum sends it deep. Pinball from the 15. Here comes the pinball. Across midfield. Lost the football. Saskatchewan gets it back. Jason Mallett. Pinball in the final moments of the 4th quarter. And this one may have sealed it.
Well, he's been nagged with some injuries during this game, and
he is inconsolable on the Toronto sideline. I'll tell you what, had he hung on to the ball, Toronto would have had it at the 50. Slack in trouble. Slack still going. First down to the 45-yard line. And I'll tell you what, I think everyone at Taylor Field was holding their breath during that run.
Well, I'll tell you, pinball hit the seam, and you're right, Gordon. Toronto would have had great field position, even if he goes down. And
here's the return and the fumble.
Well, watch the seam he hits. Great acceleration. You know how many times he's done that, and it gets in the open field. Darren Joseph hits him in the legs, and Jason Mallett up high.
I think Chris Zarka forced it out. And now Slack will simply take a knee. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders have handed the defending Grey Cup champions their first loss of the year. Coming back from 10 points down with 3 minutes to play. And they're standing at Taylor Field. football game in Saskatchewan tonight.
Had a little bit of everything, Gordon. Now, I got to ask you this. How do we pick the TSN turning point? Man!
The Saskatchewan Roughriders have made it a three-way tie for first place in the West after 3 weeks of the season. What a scene at Taylor Field. And we'll be back with more when the CFL Live returns right after this.
The CFL Live on TSN is brought to you by Advantage, providing solutions for business. And by Gatorade. Life is a sport. Drink it up.
The Toronto Argonauts had become annoyed about any talk of finishing 18-0. They don't have to worry about that talk anymore. Losing to Saskatchewan, very exciting finish for the Roughriders, and for all the second-guessing and hindsight being 20/20, I'm sure Coach Don Matthews might be second-guessed for deciding to accept the penalty to push Saskatchewan out of range.
Well, he had a major decision to make there because the field goal would have only tied the game at the worst, and then when he did take the penalty, the thing that surprised me is that they were in blitz situation where they had nobody deep and they had one-on-one. That was what really surprised me after he made that decision.
Oh, you know what? To me, I think Don Matthews handed Toronto the very first loss of the season. It was a dumb decision to go for, to push them back on a 53-yard field goal where every field goal that was kicked at that end of the field was missed.
Well, you know, Matthews is on the verge of becoming the winningest head coach in CFL history. He's not questioned very often, but I agree with you, Les. He fouled up with that call. So much for 18-0.
Just one final thought about Saskatchewan's offense here. Does this make them heroes because they have a couple of big plays?
No.
I thought they had some concerns.
You know, they were just like they were last year with a great defense, but no field general to handle the actual weapons to get down the field and score points.
The only thing is, though, they did make some plays at the end of the game, long passes, so maybe they found something in their offense because they didn't try to go deep that often early in the game.
I think it's a preview of the Grey Cup game.
Great finish it was at Taylor Field, and if you were following along in QB1, here are the results. We were live and interactive tonight at TSN. The next game coming up on the Sports Network of the CFL is back. And it is Hamilton at Toronto and a big game for the Tiger Cats. The Argos, too, after that loss tonight in Saskatchewan. Sports Desk coming up next with Gino Retta and Teresa Cruz. See the highlights again. The Toronto Argonauts suffering their first loss of the season, and sure, there will be some questions. Excellent work by Saskatchewan, Robert Mims and company, but especially the Green Riders defense as well. Final score, it is Saskatchewan improving to 2-1, beating the Argos 27-23. From all of us at CFL Live, thanks for watching. See you next Thursday night.